Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Nice.
Bringing you the best in sports talk, whether there's sports or not.
Yeah. All right.
Here's my crazy idea. Crazy idea about the Miami Dolphins. You got the 5th pick overall. You traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick, Laramie Tunsil, traded away, got all these draft picks. So you got 3 first-round draft picks here. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I wouldn't take a quarterback this year.
Oh, my God. You crazy?
Let's bring in Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
I don't know that anybody would want to trade up to 5 because I think the Chargers will just take either Herbert or Tua after that. So I don't know if they'd be able to trade down and get extra picks, maybe.
Okay.
But I think your point remains, which is don't force it.
From the Mercedes Man Caves and Dan at Homes.
Keep believing during this time, guys. Keep the positivity going.
This is Dan Patrick.
Made it to a Wednesday. It's hour 1. Dan and the Danettes. Dan Patrick Show. Glad to be part of your life. However, we can be part of that if you're listening, watching, emailing, tweeting, taking part in the Meat Madness. We're down to, I think, the Final Four. We'll have the National Championship coming up, and we'll decide that on Friday. You can go to the website and vote on that. We also have RC in, our street artist, and RC is completing the Tom Brady creamsicle uniform. All he has to do is the helmet today. If you're watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, we have the jersey with Tom. Now RC has to do the helmet, and he's got 3 hours to do that, and we'll bring that to you on the program. 877-3DP Show, email address dp@danpatrick.com, Twitter handle at DP Show. He is still the greatest three-point shooter in NBA history, at least percentage-wise. Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors will join us coming up in the final hour of the show. Richard Roper, the great movie critic, he has seen The Last Dance. It's not the Jordan documentary, by the way. It's everybody talks about it, the Jordan documentary. It's about the team. Phil Jackson came up with the title, The Last Dance, because this was the last dance for that team, but this is being portrayed as it's the Jordan documentary. We're going to tune in because Mike is prominently featured, and rightfully so, but it's known as The Last Dance. It's on that last year with the Chicago Bulls. So Richard Roper, who has seen all 10 episodes, he'll join us coming up a little bit later on. Normally in the weeks and days leading up to the NFL draft, you have certain quarterbacks who move up in mock drafts. Now, that doesn't mean they move up on the real team draft boards. It's a mock draft, and that's why you're seeing some players move up and move down, because now journalists are hearing from the people who actually have to make these decisions. This is their job. And that's why we sometimes look at a player and go, what's wrong with him? He's dropping. Maybe he wasn't supposed to be up there in the first place. But the media is catching up with some of the opinions here. Think of Carson Wentz, Mitchell Trubisky, and Baker Mayfield. Those were guys who were lower in the mock drafts. And that was right up until reports leaked on how high they were going to go. This week, there's a trend in the mock draft world. All of a sudden, Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert has moved ahead of Tua Tagovailoa. Dun, dun. So now we're looking him at number 5 with the Miami Dolphins. I told you this a couple of days ago. A source said Tua could go 3 or 23 because of the medicals here. Maybe Herbert and Tua are going to be stars, and they're going to be, worthy of being drafted in the top 5 or top 6 or top 7. Maybe Utah State's Jordan Love will go high. In about a week, we're going to find out if the mock drafts were onto something, or maybe there's an even bigger quarterback surprise coming in the 2020 NFL draft. I spent some time yesterday, because Lord knows I had plenty of time yesterday to not do anything, and I reached out to 2 sources. And I said, help me understand Nick Saban's role with Tua, because there are a lot of NFL people who trust Nick Saban. This is what I got back. As important as the medical is for Tua, it's critical what Nick Saban tells people in the league he trusts, and that will be almost as critical. He's going to use the analogy of Drew Brees when he was in Miami. Injury concerns, Nick Saban passed on him and signed Dante Culpepper. Tua isn't the first Alabama player who has had medical questions going into the NFL draft. The source said they practiced so hard that after 3 years, they're beat up. That's what they're trying to weigh here. And if you can't interview him, I can't work him out, I can't have my medical staff look at him and examine him. That's why Tua is such a risk. If he's healthy, I think he's right on par with Joe Burrow. I like how we go, well, Tua has 2 great receivers who are going to be taken probably in the top 20. Did you see who Joe Burrow was throwing to this year? So you can't, and then I'll get this. Hey, Jordan Love had a bad year this year, but what about last year? And then you'll get people saying, yeah, that was last or the previous season, but this season he wasn't good at all. Well, he had a depleted offense, and the previous year he had a pretty good offense. And then I'll go, well, wait, Joe Burrow didn't have a great junior year, but we're not going to factor that in, but we're going to factor in what he did this past year. See, that's where it gets into this game of semantics, and it's dangerous because you can talk yourself into somebody and talk yourself out of somebody. I think the real drama, if anybody trades, then great. But if you look at this, Chase Young goes second, Burrow's going first. And then does Detroit do anything? And then I reached out to a source, who has connections with Detroit. And I said, hey, do you think it's crazy what I'm saying? He goes, no, I heard what you said about if you're Detroit and you're sold on Tua. Like Jeff Okudah is a defensive back from Ohio State. He's a really good player. But now there's starting to be a little bit of discussion. Is he the best defensive back? If it's Darrelle Revis, great. But I don't know if I'm missing on something that is going to allow us to build something bigger in the future. And my source said, this staff has to win this year. That's the reason why they would stay with Stafford. Now, if you said Matt Patricia was just joining them, like he was Mike McCarthy going to the Cowboys, then you could go, you know what? Maybe this is the last year with Stafford. We see what we have here. Are we going to be a playoff team? And you draft Tua because now I get the rookie deal. Now I can maybe get something Matthew Stafford. Maybe I could start to shape my team a little bit better like that. I also reached out to a source with ties to Cincinnati. Said, what happens to Andy Dalton? And he said, when they draft Burrow, I think they're cutting Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton is going to be thrown into the mix with Cam Newton. What will happen with Dalton and Cam Newton, and even Jameis Winston, is after training camp, if there is a training camp, after training camp, somebody will sign them, but probably not leading up to, training camp. That's probably what's going to happen. You're going to have coaches going in and go, okay, we've had the draft, free agency, and if somebody gets injured or we don't like what we're seeing, then you're going to have somebody come in. I was busy yesterday. Here was another one that might surprise you because I was curious about, let me see. We talked about Detroit playing hardball, squeezing teams. This is a do or die year for the staff. Have the feeling the Chargers are going to sit if a quarterback drops to them. If not, their coach believes in Tyrod Taylor. I had one on Jalen Hurts here. Let me see if I have this. Trying to keep okay. One possibility is Jalen Hurts, Carolina. Now stay with me. You got Teddy for 2 years. Their quarterback coach was with him at Alabama. Matt Rule, 0-2 against Jalen Hurts last year when Oklahoma played Baylor. That's his head coach. Offensive coordinator, Joe Brady was in New Orleans with Taysom Hill. So you might get a package-like quarterback with Jalen Hurts going to Carolina to back up Teddy Bridgewater. So just some of the items that I had yesterday. I was busy yesterday going back and forth trying to find out. And once again, the more I know, the less I know. I watched Justin Herbert, and some of the descriptions on Justin Herbert are, he's not a leader. He's not demonstrative. He doesn't speak up. He's unfailingly polite. And I went, gosh, is he like Eli Manning? Unfailingly play? That's a negative. He doesn't have the swag that Joe Burrow. I got that one yesterday. I said, okay, but does Justin Herbert check a lot of boxes here? Oh, yeah. Now, sometimes you look at swag and you go, he's got too much swag. Like Joe Burrow borders on too much swag. When you meet him, boom, it's right there. But when you're playing well and win a national title and throwing 60 touchdown passes, yeah, we love that swag. Yeah, Paul.
If Justin Herbert becomes a star, he's cool, he's calm, he's unflappable.
Yeah.
When you're unflappable when you're a good quarterback who's low key. You're pulseless when you're Jay Cutler and you're 7-9.
Yeah. Well, we had that problem with guys who weren't demonstrative. Jay Cutler doesn't care. Look at him. There's no fire. I mean, Phillip Rivers cared as much as any quarterback. He didn't win anything. Joe Montana, unflappable. Right? Joe Montana, calm. Yes, McLovin.
Andy Dalton's not signing until August? What? I can't handle this. And Cam Newton and Jameis Winston or whatever that training camp date is?
I think that's
crazy.
Yes, that's what I was told, that this offseason is going to really hurt some of these players, including these quarterbacks, but it's going to be after training camp where one of these guys or all of them will be signed by somebody. But I was told, because I said Andy Dalton makes a lot of sense to still have him on the roster. And a source said, when they draft Burrow, they'll probably cut Andy Dalton. And I was like, all right. Poll question, McLovin, what do you have for me?
Okay, you're talking about quarterbacks. If I gave you an over-under of 2.5 quarterbacks in the top 5, would you go over or under? So that means, would 3 be drafted in the top 5? Would 2 be drafted in the top 5? Obviously, with Burrow going number 1, so it's a Herbert Tua question. Are they gone by Miami?
So I have to get somebody to trade up. Because if you trade up, why isn't anybody trading up to ask about Chase Young? I'm just curious. It's only the quarterbacks. I got Chase Young, who is once in a generation, I'm told, edge rusher. I haven't heard anybody say, hey, are the Redskins open for business for Chase Young? That surprises me. Chase Young is considered the best player in the draft. And I've not heard one scenario where somebody goes, I wouldn't be surprised if they go up and get Chase Young. When we look at a guy who disrupts a game, it's your quarterback and your edge rusher. Those are the two guys, it feels like, are the most important people on the field. And we're going to go trade up for Justin Herbert. We don't know how good he is. But Chase Young's the best guy in the draft. That guy's once in a generation. Nobody trading up to get Chase Young. I find that interesting. What else do you have, McLovin? I'll go under on the 2.5. Okay. I'll say that we have 2 quarterbacks top 5.
I saw another question. 3.5 is the over-under in the top 12, meaning does Jordan Love go in the top 12? I don't know what. Seems like that changes day to day. I don't know what you're hearing.
And it feels like the Raiders are really interested in Jordan Love. And Mel Kiper, obviously I trust Mel Kiper, draft expert, but are the Raiders already with Mariota and Carr then going to use a first-round draft pick on Jordan Love? This is, okay, so I asked about this with the Raiders, and I couldn't get anybody who covers the Raiders or involved in the Raiders. And I said, well, if you're the Raiders, would you go after Jordan Love? And the scenario that was set up for me is the Broncos look like they have their quarterback. The Chiefs obviously have their quarterback. And the Chargers might be drafting Tua or Justin Herbert. So I'm talking about teams in that division. Are the Raiders comfortable with Derek Carr as their quarterback to match those other quarterbacks? And is Jordan Love going to be a Patrick Mahomes type player, talent-wise? Because not everybody was sold on Patrick Mahomes. Let's not kid anybody. Andy Reid saw it, pounced on it, and we know that, the rest is history. Is Jordan Love going to be that kind of player? Because if you watch Patrick Mahomes play, and yes, I did because I have nothing to do in my life, he was incredibly athletic, made all the throws, but I had no idea how it would translate to the NFL because it looked like he was trying to be Brett Favre. and he was just vamping out there. It was like backyard football in the Big 12. And I go, I don't know if he can play in the NFL, but damn, he's exciting in college football here. Jordan Love may be that guy. So, once again, we talk ourselves into a pick and out of a pick. Somebody is going to pass on somebody, and that goes back to what I said about Tua on Monday. The fear of taking him and the fear of not taking him. That's going to be a big dilemma. Yeah, McLovin.
I also saw a lot of Jordan Love to the Patriots, like the Patriots are interested in. How would anyone know what the Patriots are interested in? And that's what I was wondering. That's the one team you can't predict.
We don't know. We speculate, but we don't know because Bill Belichick doesn't tell anybody anything. And why would you tell somebody unless I want to mislead you? That's really when the information gets out. And the only reason why I get information is, scouts talk. Coaches don't talk. GMs don't talk. Scouts talk amongst themselves. Hey, what do you think about this guy? Why? Yeah, we're kind of leaning towards maybe we're going to take, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. And I go, oh, all right. That's how it works. They want to know what you know and what, but it's only a cluster of these guys because they have to trust each other. I'll share information with you. We're not interested in that guy. That's the interesting part of all of this. It's the deception that still continues and will lead up till probably a week from today where maybe you start to get real information on what's happening. Do I think the Dolphins are going? Remember the Dolphins were all in on Joe Burrow. They were tanking for Tua. Now I'm hearing Justin Herbert. Some of it's BS, and maybe all of it is. Yes, Paul.
I love how the teams try to hide. There's a thing a few years ago, they had a documentary about the draft where they look back. The draft where I think the Jaguars take Blake Bortles in the 3 spot. Yeah. They didn't interview him. They didn't call him. They didn't invite him down for a workout, which was really crazy to not do that due diligence. But they were trying to hide him. They were trying to hide their interest in him so they can just grab him.
Any other poll questions, McLovin?
Yeah. So Kirk Cousins said it's refreshing not to play in front of fans, or will be refreshing.
And you know why? So he doesn't get yelled at. That's why. I get refreshing? No. So nobody yells at me or picks on me. That's the only other. What other reason would you say it's refreshing?
I was wondering if you asked a poll, if you're an NFL player, are you comfortable playing without fans? What do you think they would say?
They just want to play. That's all. If you said you guys can come back, no fans, or you can't come back, what are they going to say? They want to come back. Seton, how are you this morning?
I'm great. I'm listening to you talk about fans, though, and I just keep thinking of LeBron, who for some reason seems to be the one hardliner of like, I'm not playing if there's no fans.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to do sort of like this populist thing, like, hey, I'm here for the fans, but is just slightly off with it.
Yeah. I think he walked that back a little bit, and rightfully so. Yeah. I think he had to walk that one back a little bit. Hey, LeBron, do you want to play and maybe win a title, or you can't play?
Not if there's no fans in the crowd, I'll tell you that.
Yes, McLovin.
But isn't Kirk Cousins going too far to say it's refreshing to have no fans? Like, isn't somewhere in the middle between Kirk Cousins and LeBron a better place?
But you got to think of Kirk Cousins and how he plays. Like his career.
Wow, too soon.
The fans haven't always been on his side.
Yes. So when he yells at you like that, and then it echoes in the stadium, you like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. Yes. Hey, Todd, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. It's great to see everybody. What do you got on today? What year?
Maybe the fans can come, not come to these prime time games and just show up to the daytime games.
Thank you, Todd. What do you got on today?
I'm wearing an old school Houston Astros kind of a training camp, spring training,
nice.
Batting practice type jersey.
Everything you have is old school or old.
I'm still living in the 70s and 80s.
I know.
I was watching Rocky. I sent you guys a note. No response from anybody, of course. But he was fighting Mason the Line Dixon.
Okay, but you know why I didn't respond?
Because it's not a real fight. It's a movie.
No.
And you're tired of all my texts.
No.
You were watching.
Well, yes, I am tired of all your texts. Because when you bring it up, or I bring it up then to you, then you go into your impersonations.
I do that.
So
but I wasn't going to do that in a text. I wasn't going to call you.
I know, but you want to do that now. You want to do Rocky's trainer but you can't do it today.
I can't.
No, you
concerned
can't.
I'm concerned to send you more than like 2 texts in a half-hour period because then you give me a please stop and a prayer emoji. And
Well,
that hurts my feelings.
but you do play-by-play of something that happened 30 years ago.
I know. I was excited. I was trying to share a moment with you about a Red Sox Yankee
Jim
game.
Rice coming to the plate. I go, it's 1978. I know how this ends.
I know, but it was the Bucky Dent game, and I was just
Thank
sharing
you,
what
Tom.
I was watching, and I was having a moment with you. I was trying to have a moment with you.
We don't need to have moments. We have so many moments. We don't need any more.
18 years of moments.
Yeah, we don't. We're good on. I have more moments with you than my wife.
Probably, yeah.
Yes, Paulie.
Todd has this dark jersey on today and a dark hat and dark headphones, and there's a dark background behind him. He looks like this big floating
He's
head in the room.
levitating.
It's just a floating head with the same look on it for 3 hours.
Yeah, and you don't blink.
I don't blink.
Yeah, the chat row notices you don't
I'm
blink.
very wide-eyed, and
Yeah.
must be the prednisone. I don't know. I rarely blink, and I don't sleep. I've been up since like 3 in the morning.
Well, it's great to have you, though.
It's good to be here.
Let me see. We're going to have Pete Thamel from Yahoo Sports. I saw we're starting to cancel some sports. Not postpone anything. We're canceling some of these secondary sports. These are budget moves. These are preemptive strikes here. Also, Pete covers college football for Yahoo Sports, and I want to ask him about what Chris Fowler was talking about yesterday, and that is expanding the playoffs. Because if you're looking at revenue for these conferences to have the trickle down for some of these other sports to survive, maybe you go from 4 to 16 teams. So we'll talk to Pete. He'll join us coming up. Steve Kerr a little bit later on. Richard Roper, the Chicago Sun-Times movie critic, will join us as well as he reviews The Last Dance, the so-called Jordan documentary. We'll take a break here. 22 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. You check things all the time, like your email, your Instagram. How about checking something as important as your credit score? Discover makes it quick and easy. Best of all, it's free. We love free stuff. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores. That's the score used by 90% of top lenders, and doing so for free. Even if you're not a customer, checking your score won't hurt your credit, and you can check each month for changes. The Discover Credit Scorecard, free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Dan, one of the cool things about sitting around all day checking out things on social media, which a lot of us are doing, is people put what they're doing at home, like on the Traeger grill or whatever we're doing, and napping like what I'm doing. And then Andy Dalton, the popular quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, who is being rumored to play with other teams in the offseason, had a really lovely video of him with his boys, who are really small, in the backyard throwing the ball around. If you click on it, you could see it. And our buddy Andrew Perloff made a little comment.
Oh, wow. Dalton already working out with Patriots wide receivers. Wow, that's a shot at Julian Edelman.
Two minuscule, slow.
It wasn't Julian Edelman. It was sort of, all the guys they've had. Gunnar Olszewski, what's his name? Seton. Don't they have 100 guys just like that?
Pretty much, yeah. And they have for years.
But I think you're starting with our good friend Julian Edelman.
But he's not. that isn't Julian Edelman in the video.
It is not. I looked. I looked twice. No, it's not.
I'm pretty sure that other kid is Danny Amendola, though.
Good looking
This
kid.
video must be a few years old.
Yeah, we like to call him Dola.
Is that Wes Welker in the pajamas?
It's just cold.
Rex Burkhead running out of the slot, maybe.
Yeah, a little flat pattern.
And Andy doing what he does best. He's overthrowing them, too.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Where did that come from?
Early shots.
Wow. Well done, McLovin. Well done.
Well, think about it. I mean, if anything, Andy would underthrow them, not overthrow them. Let's be
Wow.
honest there. Wait, no, I
Wow.
didn't say that. No. He was dead on target. Whatever. I'm not going to get into this.
Little Todd Fritz.
That's me, isn't it?
From The Disaster in Dallas
Okay, you guys got to stop. Seriously.
to Schmoozing J.J. Watt.
Todd texts back, you are truly handsome. Back off, Todd.
Let's look back at some never-before-seen photos from the toddler.
Can you hold me? Can I hold you? There's no such place in the whole world, and stay with me. Girl, you're the one for me, and I'm dying to say.
Legend. Already a legend.
My dream come true.
No argument here, handsome. Is what I have in my head.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, my God. Dan Patrick Show brought to you by LegalZoom. No matter what happens, you want to make sure you take care of your loved ones. That's why LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. McLovin had a tweet yesterday where Andy Dalton was in his backyard, and he had his two little kids with him, and he was throwing to a net. It looked like about 25 yards downfield. And McLovin, you want to tell people what you put in that tweet?
Oh, he had these two little kids in front of him. I'm like, oh, wow, Andy Dalton's already working out with the Patriots wide receivers.
And I said, that's a shot at our friend Julian Edelman. And Andy Dalton's your buddy.
No, Dalton looked great in the video. Everyone was commenting like, whoa, we got to get him in camp. Do you see that arm? And my other joke that I didn't write, by the way, is those two little kids, actually, it's finally he gets some a better O-line than Cincinnati.
Wow, man.
But I didn't put that.
Yeah, you didn't. But you thought it.
I did think it, and Joe Burrow might want to.
I thought it was really. I thought it was really funny that you get those undersized wide receivers for the Patriots, and Andy had his two sons out there. That was well done, Andy. Well
By
done.
the way, Dalton looked pretty good, right? Can we judge anything on a backyard video?
He threw two passes into a net.
Yeah, but he hit the net. Somebody, what did the Dan
I don't know
suggested?
but I don't know what happened the other 40 passes he threw. Did he throw it in the neighbor's yard? Did he, hit the mailman? Like, we don't know.
He edited it? I don't know.
You're right. Andy Dalton wouldn't do something like that. I mentioned Jalen Hurts as a possible landing spot being Carolina, according to a source, because of the connections. A lot of times, that's why when I was told at the Super Bowl, Phillip Rivers looked for him to go to the Colts, there was a connection with the coaching staff there. The same with Jalen Hurts in Carolina. There's a connection with the coaching staff there. And the fact that Matt Rule coached against him twice last year at Baylor and lost both times to Jalen Hurts, and you've got your offensive coordinator was the quarterback's coach at Alabama, and also he was in New Orleans with Taysom Hill, then maybe you're looking at that possibility of that's your next quarterback in waiting with Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina. All right, we'll get to phone calls coming up. 877-3DP show. By the way, Jalen Hurts player comp game.
Ooh.
Okay?
Hold on.
All right. So if I looked at
NFL.com?
This is now NFL.com will throw that out there.
You have to guess what Lance Zierlein, that's our go-to at NFL.com, went as the player comp for Jalen Hurts. I'll give you some hints.
Okay.
Dual threat quarterback from the South, obviously started at Alabama and finished at Oklahoma. Okay. Who is the NFL player comp for Jalen Hurts? Anyone want to try it?
Well, can I go Taysom Hill? But I don't know what Taysom Hill didn't have great numbers in college.
No. He got hurt a lot, too.
Jalen Hurts is a better college quarterback than Taysom Hill.
Especially at Oklahoma.
Okay. I think Jalen Hurts gets knocked because he lost his job to Tua, and all of a sudden he was sort of left for dead, and then he goes to Oklahoma, and then we go, yeah, but at Oklahoma, everybody's numbers are great. McLovin, the player comp for Jalen Hurts is?
I know he gets a lot of Dak Prescott because his career had a similar arc where he had.
Okay. All right.
And he's built a little bit like Dak, size-wise.
I'm going to talk about Dak's contract situation coming up. Yes, Seton O'Connor.
Is this a quarterback you want to be compared to?
Oh, man. I don't know where to go here. In some ways, very much so. He's very well liked in some ways, and in some ways, not at all.
More of a comparison on the field or off?
I think you're going down the right path, Seton O'Connor. Use the word path as a hint.
Got to follow the path of righteousness, fellas.
I'm showing you the light, if you know what I mean.
Todd, you want to guess?
I was thinking Bridgewater, but it sounds like more of a religious type of person.
Bridgewater is not a running quarterback.
No.
Dan, your final answer?
Kyler Murray.
NFL.com player comp for Jalen Hurts. Timothy Tebow.
Oh, no.
I'm not even making that up.
Come on.
Like Tebow, Hurts is a winning dual threat quarterback known for his strength, toughness, and character. There's a little character in there.
But wait, Tebow wasn't a good pro.
And Hurts have never done circumcisions. I confirm that.
Are you sure?
Yes, I confirm that.
Because you know what? It hurts.
Tebow.
Thank you. All right. We'll change course here with Pete Thamel, who joins us, the National College Football Basketball reporter for Yahoo Sports. What do you think of Jalen Hurts?
I like Jalen Hurts. The best piece of draft analysis I saw on Twitter on Jalen, so it had to be true, was that a lot of people have him picked for Baltimore, so he can back up Lamar, and they can have a backup in their offense. You know, you can have Drew Bledsoe back up Lamar Jackson, right? You need someone who can of a similar skill set. And I'm not necessarily comparing them because I think Lamar, in terms of quick twitch, is certainly in his own stratosphere. Ultimately, on Jalen, I don't think he's an NFL starter at the end of the day. Like, he will start NFL games, but I don't think he's a guy a franchise will take as their starter.
Paulie, would you steal Pete's comp and then we'll use that and not give him any credit?
Absolutely. That's our tradition.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I stole it too, so we're passing it along here.
Yeah. Welcome to this business. We don't give credit.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, a couple of things here. I saw where you were reporting that a couple of sports have been canceled. Cincinnati with soccer, Old Dominion with wrestling. And I know that those don't garner headlines, but this is just the start, it feels like, of the trickle down. That's a preemptive strike to cancel these programs. And we haven't lost any income yet with these college football programs. So why now, and how bad do you think this is going to get for the secondary sports based off of maybe no college football for a little while?
I think we're certainly set up for what one source told me, Dan, I thought it was well put, was a reset. The collegiate athletics model is completely upside down. When you look at essentially one sport, two sports at some places, you know, providing, I mean, some places have over 30 sports. Some tell me there's a MAC school with 21. I think UConn has 26. So when you have one or two sports providing all of the money for another, at least 14, but in some cases over 20. It's just not a tenable long-term financial model. And I think financially, athletic directors always look at the bottom line. I mean, Cincinnati, once they pay off the scholarships and the remaining staff, is going to save $800,000 a year. So it's $8 million over a decade. It's a lot of money. And certainly, I don't want to sound cold-hearted when I'm talking about this, because I'm talking about business decisions, and these are lives, and people's just teams are just ripped up, and it's a difficult decision to make. And one AD who I called put it to me this way. He said he used the old Winston Churchill quote, "Never waste a good crisis." So I don't think people woke up and all of a sudden were like, man, maybe we should cut sports. I think people had been looking at it on their budgets for a long time, and this set of unique financial circumstances that we're going to come under because of coronavirus is going to allow them to do what they probably already wanted. Even to me, Dan, in the best cases, right? Like say September 5th, there's 100,000 in the horseshoe for Bowling Green and et cetera, everywhere around the country, right? Now, I don't see that as particularly realistic, but even if that happens, you're looking at donors who are staring at a 20% dip in their portfolio. You're looking at people maybe don't want to go back to sporting events. Like you're looking at a minimum, when I talk to ADs, in the best case scenarios, they're looking at maybe have to account for a 20% dip in their budget. So you need places to save money, and if there is no football, I mean that's when all bets are off.
I'm also wondering about how this helps the economy if we do have sporting events, but we don't have fans going to the sporting events.
Well, my thought on college is that you have to look at it different than the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL. I'm very confident, and I wrote this 3 weeks ago. If there is no college, there will be no college sports. And I had a lot of, Bob Bowlesby told me that, people, athletic directors all around the country have kind of said that.
So no classes, no sports.
Correct.
Okay.
If you can't bring students back to campus, you can't have a football team go play.
Unless you stop calling them student athletes and you just call them athletes, athletic
correct.
students.
Yes, and that would just be a whole thing. So I don't know how college football could thread the needle of, well, it's safe for students to come to campus, it's safe for athletes to come to campus, but it's not safe to have visitors in a stadium. That I think the percentage chance for college football with no fans is very low. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's much more realistic. You have NBA games in Vegas or on a cruise ship or whatever they're talking about, or even the NFL. Dan Wetzel wrote this 2 weeks ago. Would be the hardest one to do all this because you got to, you can throw the NBA in the NHL in a metaphorical Dakota. It's hard to do that with the NFL. It's just such a big, looming operation to move 32 teams to one place. It would just be a logistical nightmare. So, but for college football, I'd be stunned if we had games without fans. You take a look at the Floridas, the Ohio States, your big programs. You're talking about $50 million in ticket revenue alone. So it's a huge, and certainly the TV revenue is as much for those, for the Big Tens and the SECs. It's in that $40 million neighborhood. But I have a hard time imagining that from a liability standpoint because, you're going to have the complicating part with college, too, and we're seeing this with Governor Newsom and maybe his projections not being as optimistic as President Trump's projections. In college, like there's municipalities, there's mayors, there's college presidents. If there's one thing about college athletics, it's from a leadership perspective, it's very fraught,
Yes.
and it's very different.
Yeah, that's the problem. When I talked to Chris Fowler yesterday, he said there's no singular voice here. Like you have commissioners in other sports. I'll leave you with this. I talked to Fowler about this, that you have 4 teams in the playoffs. Can you extend that and make it 16? Can you break that contract to make it 16? Therefore, we have more revenue. And then maybe by the end of the year, we can have football where we have fans in the stands. Or I don't know if that – Chris said everything's on the table. Do you think we could get to 16 playoff teams?
Well, I wrote this week that I think the playoff will change to accommodate finances, in this crisis. Like in terms of new revenue streams, that's one of the few certain ones that they could make.
Yeah.
In calling around to people tied to the college football playoff, the notion of changing it this year was like way off the table. They were like, and even next year, just because of the different bowls it's tied to, the different logistics. Now, look, they're going to be all sports officials are going to be the goalie sitting on their head, right, trying to figure out how to get sports and land the plane here. But I would be pretty surprised if they could just rip up $1 billion contract. I mean, there's 6 years left on that 12-year deal, and when you really dive into it, there's just a lot of and look, does ESPN have the money right now to just rip up the 6 most profitable years on a contract to expand the thing? I don't think that's a no-brainer either, like it would be in better times. So I do think the playoff does expand. I think the earliest we could see it, Dan, is 2 years from now, and I'd imagine we go to 8 from there.
Pete, good to talk to you. We appreciate you joining us as always.
Dan, thanks for your time.
That's Pete Thamel, National College Football Basketball reporter for Yahoo Sports. He has a quote in his column. I think now that Cincinnati just did it, they got rid of soccer. Watch the next month, said another athletic director from an FBS school. They cleared the way for other people to do it. Cincinnati puts it on a different level. Play of the day is up next. Your phone calls as well. We'll settle on our poll question as well after this.
I love New Jersey. I really do. That's so good. And do we do that thing, if you could have one food for the rest of your life, if that could somehow be a pork roll, egg, and cheese sandwich, I would be thrilled with that.
I feel like you have an interesting viewpoint of how things are changing here. From, say, the 90s, which is just my time based on my age, up through now, every time I come back here, it's like, whoa, this is crazy.
No, I know. We've been, like I said, we've been here 6 years, and I said to somebody the other day, I feel like every time I unlock the door, I'm like, where am I?
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time I got dropped off at a Sunday matinee at the Stone Pony.
Yeah.
And like, I look at it now, I look back now, I can't believe my mom dropped off an 11-year-old kid at a punk show in a town that was an absolute war zone.
Yeah.
It's like I remember walking in, and I was at the merch table, and I wanted to buy this demo tape. And I'm like, how much is this? Guy's like, $4. And I was like, shh. He's like, well, what do you got? And I take out my long chain wallet, and I take out my chain wallet, and I'm like, I got 10 cents. And he grabs it and he goes, don't tell anybody. And he gave me a demo tape, and I was like, that's the coolest thing I ever, the dude in the band.
Right.
And I was like, hooked.
Yeah.
This is why every Sunday, I don't care who plays, I'm here every Sunday.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
I remember taking the train from just up the coast from South Amboy and coming down, and that walk from the train station to the Stone Pony in the daytime was like, all right, we could do this, and then you just, at night when the show got out, like,
Treacherous.
let's hit it.
Yeah.
We got to get there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, given the history of Asbury Park, everybody always wanted it to revitalize. Always. Nobody wanted it to be run down.
Well, I think the music scene plays a big part in that revitalization. And things like punk rock bowling.
Absolutely.
Every year, it's such a destination place.
Absolutely. You know, it's like, Asbury's been on the minds of touring bands forever. Like, they've all known how cool it was.
Yeah.
And now, a lot of people come through the cafe, and it's the same conversation every time they do. They're like, oh man, we haven't played here in 5 years, and it's crazy since we've been gone, you know.
Yeah.
And but every touring band has known that Asbury's awesome since it was run down. They were like, you know, and so now they come through for something like Punk Rock Bowling, and they're like, every year that something like this happens, it's different from year to year, you know.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I was looking for the host of the Box Score, the wrap-up show with the Danettes, and I decided to go with Casey. He works in the back here. He's a very, very interesting guy. I wanted somebody who could lead, who was funny, intelligent, inspirational, somebody who was worldly, knowledgeable.
Hey, Dan, I'm all done with this one. I'm going to need a new model.
I'll pose for the painting.
Oh my God!
The play of the day. This is the play of the day. Check this out.
And the Dallas Mavericks find themselves only down by 7 points.
The game means something. This one means something right now.
It means something to them.
I'm kidding you. The ball into Teagle. There it is. He got it. 9 assists. Terry Teagle, a 20-footer from the right side at the baseline. It hit nothing but net. What a shot. What a pass. What an assist. All-time leader, Magic Johnson.
29 years ago today, Magic passed Oscar for most all-time assists. Since then, the record has been broken multiple times. John Stockton sits atop the top spot. Magic now at number 5. Stockton, Kidd, Nash, Mark Jackson, Magic Johnson. It's your play of the day, the great Chick Hearn on the call. No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom has made it easy to set up that right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today. The right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. Todd Gurley took the number 21 with the Falcons. He wore number 3 in college. He wore 30 with the Rams. He goes to the Falcons. Deion Sanders says to him, "Don't take 21." And so he takes 21. Now, Todd Gurley had this to say about the conversation or the comments from Deion Sanders.
Did you talk to Deion? He gonna let you rock 21?
Hey man, Prime was hating on me. He told me don't wear it.
Really? Why did he say that?
Because it's Prime. If I was Prime, I wouldn't want nobody to be wearing my number either.
Okay, I think that's the program is called the Midday Show. What I don't understand is, and maybe they did ask him. The obvious question is, why are you picking 21? You have no ties to it. Is he doing it as a tribute, an homage to Deion? Deion was in Atlanta for 5 years, by the way. Other players who have worn number 21 since Deion left: Eric Metcalf, Elijah Williams, Darian Gordon, Jaron Bolden, D'Angelo Hall, Chris Owens, Desmond Trufant. Deion, Chill. At least you got a really good player wearing it and a Georgia native wearing it. They didn't retire it. Yeah, Deion probably feels the whole league should retire 21 for him. But can we ask? Can somebody ask Todd Gurley, hey, why did you pick 21 since you have no ties to it? And Paulie said, do you think Deion's really mad? I go, yes. Yeah, that's Deion. Like, Deion, I think, realized the reaction he was getting. Like, Deion, chill, dude. And then he was like, I'm joking. I don't think Deion was joking. I don't think, for some reason, did he say this about Desmond Trufant? Hey, don't wear 21? Like, why Todd Gurley? Yeah, Paulie.
According to the NFL.com, the Raiders, Falcons, and Cowboys traditionally don't retire numbers. They have rings of honor, but they don't really retire numbers.
Well, the Falcons don't have any good players. Like Tommy Nobis?
William Andrews?
Steve Bartkowski? Like, who are you retiring? Deion, okay, yeah, if you want to. Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, if you want to get around to that. But prior to that, Harmon Wages? Like, who are you retiring? Yes, McLovin.
What about that Jamal Anderson Super Bowl team? Who was good on that team besides him? I can't remember. Was it Chris Chandler?
Chandler, the quarterback. Eugene Robinson. Yeah, that didn't go well. It didn't, on and off the field.
Other Falcons. Googling. Click.
Yeah. There's not a lot of great Falcons that you're going to have a ring of honor.
No offense.
Yeah, like you'd have a ring of honor and be one name maybe. Well, they're eventually going to get around to a couple more.
A kiosk of honor, maybe like a little, as you walk in, there's a little 3-ply thing with 3 numbers.
The Dak Prescott situation, Dak didn't apologize. Dak clarified about having a party at his place. It was a dinner party. Now, he says that it was, he was disappointed in the report. Very frustrating, disappointing. That sounds like what Tony Romo says. Very frustrating, disappointing. When people provide completely inaccurate information from anonymous sources, especially now. Now, this came from TMZ. And as much as you want to discredit TMZ, TMZ is one of the few places actually doing journalism, or at least investigative reporting. They actually do. I don't know how they get all their information, but hey, they get their information, and I would trust them in this situation. I don't know how many people Dak had over there. I'm guessing he had more than 10. And you know why? Because I looked at the spread. Look at the amount of food and tell me that's for 10 people? Now, if your offensive lineman came over, you wouldn't have that much food. But he wants to tell me that he only had 10 people or less than 10 people. And Zeke Elliott was there with him. It's not a good look there. It's not. Yes,
I get the feeling, though, that Zeke Elliott could eat more than just his share.
Wow.
He looks like he has eaten more than his share.
He looks like a fellow who could put away some food.
And if you're going to have a party, and during this time, you just say to everybody, I want your cell phones here. Let's make sure we don't do any social media. This is just a party I want to have for, close friends, whatever it is. Tell them, give me your phones. I take my kids' phones when we go to dinner just so I can get their attention. Good God. If they're your friends, they're not going to bust you on social media. Yeah, Paul.
I'm going to differ with you. Just because he had a whole lot of food doesn't mean there's a whole lot of people. The other day, we had 38 sausages on the grill for 5 guys. Now, if you would have walked by our grill and said, man, they're having a big thing over at the Dan Patrick crew, they got 38 sausages on the grill.
But that was the entire package that we made.
Right, but maybe Dak over-ordered. He over-ordered.
Over-ordered? Okay. Everybody got a sushi tray. Everybody got a tray of fries there. He had more than 10 people because that was the report he had, maybe up to 30. Now, maybe he had a small party.
I could twist it. I'm trying to support the local restaurants, so I put in a big, huge order to support with the takeout because I know these are tough times.
And then he's not doing the virtual OTAs. Like, to me, it's a bad look for him. Be above the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and say, hey, do this for the fans. I'm still your quarterback. I'm going to do this. I'm not under contract. I'm going to do this because I'm your quarterback. I'm your quarterback of the future here. By the way, I'm having a party this weekend if anybody wants to come over. Still got some leftovers. Those 30 people didn't eat everything they should have. That's for sure. A review of the Jordan documentary coming up.
Records I bought, I know for a fact because I mowed lawns and I walked to Rose Records in downtown Evanston, which was about like a 3-mile walk. I walked there and I bought Sham 69's Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
Which is like on Receiver Records, whatever that is. And I bought the Minor Threat 12-inch. And I bought them both and I brought them back to the house and I liked it so much that I went back because I wanted more records by both bands. Like literally walked all the way back to see if I could buy some more, and that's when they told me that was the only Minor Threat record. And I believed them. That was very
Check this out, this actually ties in. So I was a metal kid, freshman year in high school. I ended up meeting this guy and ended up joining a band that he's playing with. I knew some guys that he's playing with. And he was not a metal guy. And he was not super impressed with me being this metal guy that's gonna be in his band. So he shows up at my locker with a bunch of records, and then top one is Someone Got Their Head Kicked In, the BYO Records comp. And he's like, just listen to this stuff for a while, then you'll get an idea of what we're trying to do. You know?
I actually, and you know, looking back at it, that was probably the first DIY punk record I bought.
Someone Got Their Head Kicked In?
I think that someone got, because it's kind of funny because I was in CCD. I was so young, I was in CCD, like biting it. And I remember we were sitting at these chairs, and Walter was like, hey, check this out. And he gave me this cassette, and all it said on it was Someone Got Their Head Kicked In. I didn't know it was the name of a comp. For all I knew, it was a band called Someone Got Their Head Kicked In. But they did all these things. Because, you know, up until that, it's like, I love Bowie.
Right.
You know, and like Bowie, you know, I love the Beatles.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, you get the White Album, that could be a comp. You don't know. So, like, I literally for a while was like, man, this band, Someone Got Their Head Kicked In.
I remember the BYO, the Split series that they would do. Yeah, those are pretty huge. That was like a must-have. Whenever a new one came out, I remember.
The crazy one for us, which is like the shot heard around the world, was when Leatherface.
Hot Water Leatherface. Oh, yeah.
Because all of us that loved Leatherface, you just thought that was gone. I mean, at that point, nobody even knew anything about what it had to do. You know what I mean? It's like they put out classic records and then just disappeared.
Yeah.
And just gone.
And then all of a sudden they were back. Like all of a sudden, like.
But I felt like we
found them.
And Hot Water were our friends, but I swear we like heard about that happening like 3 months before it came out. It was like, what the f? Leatherface is like, what the f? They knew something that's good, you know?
Yeah, it's wild. And we talked a bunch of this at the time at the Stearns about doing one of those, like, and we just, you know, just being not the most prolific band in the world, we just never really.
Swinging Utters or something?
I think it was Swinging Utters, maybe. Like we talked. There were a couple different ideas.
Yeah. Kind of homie.
But we just never got our act together on it. That's the way it works.
One of the list of records.
There's a much bigger list of records we haven't done. Records we've done, that's for sure.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Nice.
Bringing you the best in sports talk, whether there's sports or not.
Yeah. All right. Here's my crazy idea. Crazy idea about the Miami Dolphins. You got the 5th pick overall. You know, you traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick, Laramie Tunsil, traded him away, got all these draft picks. So you got 3 first-round draft picks here. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I wouldn't take a quarterback this year.
Oh, my God. You crazy?
Let's bring in Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
I don't know that anybody would want to trade up to 5 because I think the Chargers will just take either Herbert or Tua after that. So I don't know if they'd be able to trade down and get extra picks, maybe.
Okay.
But I think your point remains, which is don't force it.
From the Mercedes Man Caves and Dan at Homes.
Keep believing during this time, guys. Keep the positivity going.
This is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Wednesday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Glad to be part of your lives. However, we can accompany you, whether you're watching, you're listening, you're doing both. You can also tweet. You can vote on our Meat Madness. If you're watching on YouTube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, you can see that RC, our street artist, who did all the brilliant artwork in the man cave, he's putting the finishing touches on Tom Brady in the Tampa Bay creamsicle uniform. I had a Brady mural there of him with the Patriots, and I thought, let's get ahead of everybody here. Let's put Tom in the creamsicle uniform before anybody else does. I saw where Tom is going to put his first Tampa Bay jersey up for auction here. Did you see this story, Paulie?
Yeah, it's actually Brady's doing a thing. It's called the All-In Challenge. He's going to give, you could auction off things like, he's going to fly you down and give you tickets to his first home game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he posted a video a few hours ago, and then he challenged his wife to do a challenge, someone, Drake, and the NFL commissioner.
The starting bid for a once-in-a-lifetime experience, $50,000. And it seems like it's going up in a hurry, it says. As for who Brady challenged to join him, he picked his wife, his buddy Drake, and the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell. Roger, of course, famously suspended him 4 games back in 2015. But maybe they're verbal bouquets. How about the commissioner bids on Tom's jersey? And then Tom invites the commissioner down to Tampa Bay for his first game. Tampa Bay, by the way, and T-shirts are available on the Dan Patrick Show website. You know what I found yesterday? Of course, I've been cleaning because my wife says, "What are you doing?" I go, "Nothing." She goes, "How about you clean the attic?" I go, "Okay." And so I was cleaning the attic, and I save everything. I came across this card, MVP presentation, congratulations, and then what's written in is Eli Manning's name. This was when Eli won the Super Bowl. This was 2012. On behalf of Chevrolet Motor Division, we proudly present you with the 2012 Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport Convertible Centennial Edition, which commemorates Chevrolet's 100-year anniversary. Chevy congratulates you on winning this MVP award, and we hope you drive it proudly. Now, that's where Eli famously walked off the podium before I gave him the keys because I think he had some kind of Toyota sponsorship deal. And I think that was in the tri-state area where, he peddled Toyota. And he didn't want to be seen with Chevrolet Corvette keys. But I kept this. And then Seton goes, you know what's interesting is Eli is auctioning off that Chevy Corvette. Do you have the details on that, Seton?
Yeah, well, I think it's part of the same thing that Tom Brady, you were just talking about with the All-In Challenge.
Oh,
and
okay.
He's celebrating, selling his 2012 Super Bowl MVP Corvette. The starting bid was $10,000. There's 14 bids on it now. I have it up to $41,000. And I just think it's funny that he's probably been trying to get rid of this thing. He's got this rogue Corvette that he's not allowed to use because of his sponsorship deals. And then he's like, aha, charity. That's what I'll do.
It's got 5,800 miles on it. I'm surprised it has that much, unless he drove it down from, New Jersey to Mississippi. I was told it was in Mississippi. Yes,
It's a gorgeous car, too. It's titanium, the color, black leather interior. And like you said, it's got under 6,000 miles on it, so you're getting yourself a hell of a car.
Yeah, Paulie.
We should match NFL quarterbacks with the cars we think they would drive, because we always said, like, certain quarterbacks would drive a minivan. Like, Eli doesn't seem like a minivan guy, but I could see him having a minivan in the fleet.
I would think one of those Sprinter vans, like it's a little souped-up Mercedes Sprinter van, but definitely you could see him with a family van.
I think Cousins has one of those. He has one of those high-end Sprinter vans.
Now, I'm willing to include this in the auction. You can put it on the dashboard. Fritzy, can you get a hold of maybe somebody with the Giants who can help me send this to Eli?
We can do that. One thing interesting about the car, though, it won't go to San Diego. It goes to everywhere else, but it doesn't go to San Diego.
That's pretty good. I got that. That's well done, Todd.
It's a callback.
Yeah.
Callback joke.
All right. So I'd be more than happy to include this in whoever buys this, that they're actually getting the card that I handed to or read from on the podium after they won the Super Bowl. So if somebody can help us with that, I'd be more than happy to send that out. And you get the card that congratulates Eli Manning on behalf of Chevrolet. I was talking to Paulie in between hours here a couple of minutes ago during the live look-in. And I said, you know what I was watching last night? Indecent Proposal. Now you have Robert Redford, and he's a billionaire. Woody Harrelson is Demi Moore's wife. They're down on their luck. They don't have money, and they're in Vegas, and all of a sudden he makes this indecent proposal of $1 million to spend the night with Demi Moore. Now, the movie itself, the premise really makes me uncomfortable. But I said to Paulie, I don't know if there's a more beautiful woman than Demi Moore when I looked at A Few Good Men, Indecent Proposal, and Disclosure with Michael Douglas.
Throwing about last night if you want to go old school.
Man, she is remarkably beautiful. Like she is strikingly beautiful. And it's not an opinion. That's just basically a fact. I even said that to my wife last night.
Really?
Yeah, I said, she's beautiful. And she goes, really? And then I go, you are too. But I'm saying other people can be beautiful, not just you. And I just said, man, she jumps off the screen. Her and then Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, and Mystic Pizza. Julia Roberts jumps off the screen where you go, oh, my God. Like, I got to shield my eyes. Demi Moore in her prime movie years, goodness, spectacular. Really, really beautiful, beautiful woman. Yeah, Paul.
Have you ever seen her or met her in person?
I don't think so. I have seen and met Bruce Willis.
Also beautiful.
Yeah.
Handsome. Handsome. When he had hair. That's how long ago I met Bruce. But I have not met Demi Moore. I'm trying to think, when the ESPYs were around, you would see people. I remember Matthew Broderick and Sarah Jessica Parker, and they were standing next to me at the ESPN zone in Times Square. And it was just one of those. Sarah Jessica hadn't done, her big series there, Sex and the City. But there's certain women, when you meet them. When I met Charlize Theron, I didn't meet her. I was playing golf in Vegas.
You were amongst her?
No. I was in the group behind her, but she was playing golf with her mom. And I purposely hit it into them so I'd have to go up and apologize. And her mom looked beautiful as well. But I go up and I say, I'm so sorry. And then she goes, for what? And I go, oh, I hit my ball. And she goes, oh, is that illegal? And I go, no, I hit the ball so long. And I'm going, oh God, I sound like a fool here. And she was striking. Like one of those where you go, I don't know what am I saying? I'm sorry. Beautiful. But that was where you sometimes you run into these people. I'm trying to think, Sandler, when I was on the set with Sandler, Jennifer Aniston was prettier in person than I thought. And Nicole Kidman was as well. But Sandman always has beautiful women on set. Jessica Biel, when you see her and you go, she looks different. She looks different than a lot of people there. Yeah, Seton.
Part of the problem with those early Demi Moore movies, though, is that, like Paul brought up About Last Night, and all of those Brat Pack movies, is that Demi Moore was gorgeous, but Rob Lowe was way prettier.
Also fact.
He was by far the most gorgeous person on screen in all of those movies. So it kind of, it stung a little bit, I think.
Well, About Last Night, you're correct. That Rob Lowe is the best looking person in the movie, and that includes the women as well. Yes, Paul.
There's actually a line in the movie About Last Night by Jim Belushi where he says to Rob Lowe, his character says, "The problem with you, man, is you're too good looking. The best thing that happened to you is an industrial accident." That's a line from the movie.
An industrial accident.
A little acid.
Yeah, so I was watching that last night, Indecent Proposal. And Demi Moore.
Good topic.
Yeah. Yeah, Todd.
He was also in Striptease, which you got to kind of put that in the mix of movies worth checking out if you're a Demi Moore fan.
Yeah. Shocker that that would be the only movie you've probably seen of Demi Moore.
I think I saw part of A Few Good Men.
I didn't like
mainly
her in Striptease. Like, I liked her as just presented as, she was an officer in A Few Good Men. Yeah, she just looked like she was dressed normally, but she is abnormally beautiful. Yeah, Paul.
We almost had her on the show once when she was with Ashton Kutcher, and you called Ashton Kutcher soft on the air. Ashton Kutcher, he filmed a video and sent it to us.
Yes.
And said soft, and he was in the car, and his wife, I think they were
she
married.
was shooting it.
She was shooting the video in the passenger seat, and Ashton Kutcher he goes, "Dan, Patrick, what are you talking about? I'm soft. I'm rock hard. I'm ready to go." And he called, and she was laughing. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's right. We got him, and he's handsome, but to me would have been a little bit better payoff there. All righty. Welcome to the program. We're already in progress, as you can tell. I'm kind of dizzy from talking about this. Richard Roper, the film critic, Chicago Sun-Times, has watched. It's not the Jordan documentary. It's the Bulls documentary, The Last Dance. We'll talk to Richard Roper about that. I like how Jordan already sent out a quote saying, "Hey, you might think I'm a really horrible guy after you watch this documentary." Mike would purposely pick on certain teammates. And Scotty Burrell played at UConn, and he was a role player. And Mike said that he picked on him because he wanted him tough when they faced the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks in the playoffs. But Mike wasn't afraid of picking on some people, including Steve Kerr, who will also join us coming up a little bit later on. Dak Prescott clarifies his dinner party. I think he's sort of saying, I made a bad decision, so I'm going to make better decisions as I move forward. But, this isn't an accurate report by TMZ. I'm going to take TMZ at their word here. I am, over Dak Prescott. Maybe it started out as a small, intimate dinner party, and then you had people coming over after the fact. But, you got busted with video and pictures there. And Zeke Elliott, I thought he was an offensive lineman when I saw him. I'm like, Zeke, come on. Got to back away from the buffet. And another thing, you don't have a buffet, 8 people. Buffet, it feels like if you're having 30, you have a buffet. Paulie, though, is trying to punch holes in my Dak Prescott apology or clarification.
If he had 10 people who are big eaters and over-ordered, he didn't break the rules.
He didn't have his offensive lineman there. Yes, Todd.
But what if there was more than 10, but they weren't on top of each other? They had 8 in the backyard, 5 in the basement, 7 in the billiards room.
But he didn't tell us. Then tell us that. He said that he didn't have even 10. I'm going to take TMZ at their word. I'm going to take Harvey Levin at his word that his crew has this story buttoned up here. I think the bigger story, now obviously that, yes, see.
Not to be Debbie Downer on it, but I usually am. But even still, even if Dak only had less than 10 people on, he still completely is missing the spirit of having people over to your house for dinner parties, whether it's 10 people or not.
That's true. And he's since sort of modified his statement on this. It's not an apology. It's more of just a correction here of got to make better choices. He's also not going to take part in the Cowboys' virtual OTAs. Now, OTAs aren't a big deal. Brady stopped going when Giselle said, you got to come home and, be the role of father and husband here. And he did that later in his tenure in New England. But if you're Dak Prescott and you're trying to negotiate a new contract, why not put the pressure back on the Cowboys to say, get this done. I'm going to do everything I'm supposed to do as your quarterback. And I'm going to be there for the virtual OTAs. Now, OTAs, all right, you're going to work out. There's some meetings. Maybe you go over. You got a new head coach in town. And that's where Dak should be saying, I owe it to Mike McCarthy to be on board to make sure that he can do his job as well. And this is just a small thing. It may not have any impact on the season, but the optics, as we like to say, Dak is doing everything he's supposed to be doing. Come on, Jerry, get this contract. There's more value that goes with being the Cowboy quarterback than any other quarterback in the NFL. And with this comes a lot of attention, good and bad. And he just got the negative attention because somebody took a picture or said, hey, I'm at Dak's house, and that got out. Now you're not going to do the virtual OTA. Do this to have the fans on your side. You're going to be asking for $35 million. And the fans don't care how much you get paid. They just want to know you're going to be the quarterback there. We've been going through this for what? 18 months? Dak Prescott on and off his contract? 18 months. And the longer the Cowboys, let this play out, it seems like it costs them more. If they would have done this when I was told they were going to do that weekend of the first NFL season, they were going to have his deal locked up. But if I'm Dak Prescott, I understand I can take less, but I'm going to make a whole lot more by being the Cowboys quarterback. I mean, you want to test this, Dak, end up some other place, and you're the quarterback there, and tell me, what you're making in advertising dollars, spokesman dollars. It'll be drastically different there. He's making $10 million probably off the field. Now, granted, he didn't make much, as a, third-round draft pick? But, now you have your chance to make real money, and you're not the best quarterback. You're not a top 10 quarterback. If you get 35 a year, take it. And run with it. Because if you were with the Texans, it would be completely different in your value off the field. If you were with Jacksonville, if you were with Cincinnati, like all these other places, you're with the Cowboys, you're the quarterback, go in, be part of the virtual OTAs. Be the bigger man than the Cowboys. Turn it around and say to Mike McCarthy, Coach, I'm here for you. As best I can, I'm here for you. That's what he needs to do, in my opinion. Get a positive out of this. Don't go, nope, I don't have a contract. I'm not going to be there. You're going to get a contract. Do this for Mike McCarthy. I know that Dak Prescott looks around and he goes, wait, you made my offensive lineman the highest paid at their position. Amari Cooper getting $100 million. Zeke got paid here. What about me? I get it. But they're not getting $35 million a year, Dak. In NFL history, only 2 quarterbacks have had a higher rating over their first 4 seasons. QBR, the career passer rating for Dak is 97. The only other players in the history of the NFL first 4 years who had a higher rating, Kurt Warner and Russell Wilson Jr. III. Seemed like a stat of the day. Stat of the day. Dun, dun.
Woo! Ow! Stat of the day. Stat of the day. Stat of the day. Stat of the day. This is the stat of the day. Woo!
It's more like it. More like it. All right. Poll question, McLovin. Did we settle on one?
We did. How many quarterbacks go in the top 5? 3 or less? 74% say that there will be less than 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 5. So no one's going to trade up. Do you agree?
I don't know if anybody's going to trade up or not, but I don't think you're going to have 3 in the top 5. I think that you're going to get 2 in the top 5, and that'll be the Dolphins and the Bengals, or it'll be the Chargers move up and the Chargers are in the top 5. Yes.
Which quarterback do you think is most likely to drop out, Herbert or Tua?
Tua. Yeah. As my source said, and I said it in the first hour, he could go 3 or 23 just because of the medicals here. And that's why you're getting this propaganda, this big push to go, hey, he's healthy. Doctors are saying he's healthy. I want if I'm the Dolphins, I don't want to rely on your doctors. I want to rely. You can say, oh, they're independent doctors. I want my doctor to look at you. It's my draft pick, and this could help us or hurt us over the next 3 or 4 years. I want my doctor to look at you. Yeah, Paul.
I still don't understand how the one team, can a team like the Miami Dolphins say, hey, look, can we send one doctor to you and that's it? Our team doctor meets with you. Nobody else is in the room. Can that be done? You would think that one person could meet with one other person, even in what's going on.
Yeah, but then the Chargers may go, well, they got to do it. We want to do it.
Yeah.
Then you're going to get other teams go, wait, we can go work out Tua?
But it's maybe 3 doctors total. Maybe
how about they meet at Dak's house?
A pool doctor.
And therefore, nobody knows how many people are there.
He'll get the food. Come on over. I got a big spread here for you.
Zeke's still eating, so he'll be there. Hey, Zeke, how are you? Hey, good. Now I know when he's doing that where you got to feed him.
Yeah, it's like literally
yes,
keep feeding
that's
him.
what-
I'm eating.
All right, when we come back, Richard Roper, the film critic from the Chicago Sun-Times. What did he think of the Chicago Bulls documentary, the 10-part series here? He'll join us, and Steve Kerr will join us in an hour from now. 20 after the hour, this is The Dan Patrick Show. As if working from home doesn't present enough challenges, cybersecurity experts are warning people to be extra vigilant. They have seen a 15 to 20% increase in overall hacking incidents, and you've probably been hit with this. I have. At home, it's less likely you'll be protected by corporate software that scans for signs of danger. And because you aren't in your office, your company could have a harder time keeping your software updated. It's important to understand how cybercrime is affecting our lives. Identity theft is a serious issue. Someone's identity is stolen every 2 seconds, and you could miss certain identity threats if you're only monitoring your credit. That's why it's a great thing there's LifeLock, detecting a wide range of identity threats like your social security number for sale on the dark web. If they detect your information being used, they send you an alert. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. LifeLock sees those threats you might miss on your own. Join now, save up to 25% off your first year. Use the promo code Patrick, 1-800-LifeLock, or go to LifeLock.com, promo code Patrick, for up to 25% off.
Gentlemen, welcome to Hinkle Fieldhouse.
McLovin, put Seton on your shoulders. What is it?
Coach, it's 10.5 feet.
We are so screwed. Welcome to the mail room. Some things that have come my way. The city of Sterling, Illinois That's Chief Tim Morgan, who sent in Sterling Police. Oh, look at Brinkley. I got trading cards. Brinkley. I got the Chief, Timothy Morgan, Deputy Chief, Jeff Moore. Look at this. I got trading cards. They give me information. Do I have a patch here? Oh, I do. Shaped like the state of Illinois. Very nice. Yeah, from Sterling, Illinois.
I know someone from Sterling. I know the football coach.
Well, I know the chief there,
Yeah.
Chief Morgan.
I know Coach Calderaro. He's a football coach.
This is from Butch Huff, Ironton, Ohio. Great penmanship here. Sent me a membership card, The Cavern, expiring December of 1964. And of course, the Beatles played at the Cavern Club. Well, that's very nice. A piece of memorabilia there.
That's really good.
I got this as well. This is from Hi, Dan Patrick. My name is Owen Paxton, 4'9", 87 pounds, from Chesapeake, Virginia. I'm 9 years old. Been listening to your show since I can remember. Huge fan. Display it on your desk. Hope to see it on the show. And then he sent me.
Very thoughtful.
It was very, very nice. Thank you, Owen. I'm going to display these with my Lego guys. I think these are Lego. Make sure you check out the DP Show store. Get them while they're hot. Pre-lawsuit Tampa Bay t-shirts. The only place you can buy them, danpatrick.com. Also vote on the Meat Friday songs. Meat Madness. We'll have a national championship, the Hebrew National Championship. Friday we'll announce the winner. The Cleveland Browns have new uniforms coming out. According to Adam Schefter, Browns will unveil their new unis today. All proceeds from the sales go to their Hats Off to Our Heroes Fund to support the COVID-19 relief efforts. Are we hearing any indication of what direction the Cleveland Browns are going in with the new uniform?
Yeah, Dan, sources close to the I-team said very, very old school. Look for an old school look with the Browns uniforms. They will have like a color rush or an alternate jersey, but they said look for them to go away from that kind of like extra Browns weird logos up and down the pants and more
But how old is old school?
I would say maybe like the Brian Sipe, Greg Pruitt era, late 70s, early 80s. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay. Sources close to the I-team say they could be channeling Brian Sipe.
The uniform department.
Yeah. Do it, Pruitt. I loved Greg Pruitt at Oklahoma. He's Richard Roper, Chicago Sun-Times columnist, movie critic. He was given the early access to The Last Dance, the 10-part ESPN docuseries about the 1990 Bulls. That premieres this Sunday. So is this the Bulls documentary or the Michael Jordan documentary, Richard?
Well, Dan, you were there at the time, and that was always the question. Are we talking about the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s or Michael Jordan? He dominates the documentary the same way he dominated every conversation about the Bulls in the 1990s. Every interview, even when they're talking to Steve Kerr or Dennis Rodman or Barkley or anybody else, they're usually talking about Jordan. So he's definitely the focal point of this interview. And as you well know, Michael's not always been the most candid and forthcoming and, honest guy when it comes to interviews. He always kept it kind of a close guard. So it's really refreshing to see him open up on so many levels in this documentary.
Did they need to do 10 parts? Does it feel like it's stretched out just to stretch it out for 10 parts?
If it were only about the Bulls on court, I'd say, okay, even a team that won 6 NBA titles doesn't need 10 hours. But when you look at the off-court soap opera that went on through the 90s, from Michael's gambling problems to the tragic murder of his father, to Jerry Krause saying organizations win championships, not only players, to the Dennis Rodman circus, to Michael retiring in the middle of his peak to play baseball, there's so much material there, Dan. I mean, it actually doesn't feel like it's stretched out at all.
How deep do they go into Jordan's gambling?
It's not a huge part of the documentary. They do talk about it. The infamous interview where he did himself no favors with Ahmad Rashad when he kept his sunglasses on and said, "I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competition problem." They don't shy away from it, but they don't spend a whole episode on it either.
Is there one of those "oh my gosh" moments in this documentary?
I don't know if there's an "oh my gosh" moment. It's not as if we're learning a ton of stuff that the hardcore sports fan didn't know before. To me, the most interesting thing, Dan, is to see these guys in present day: Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, still having that competitiveness. And some of the favorite moments for me for the documentary is when the filmmakers, they'll hand Jordan a tablet where he can see an interview with someone that was done for the documentary. So they play him, Isaiah Thomas, trying to rationalize why the Pistons didn't shake hands with the Bulls after the 1991 NBA Eastern Conference Finals. And Jordan looks at it and shakes his head, and then in kind of an expletive-laden way calls Isaiah quite a few names and says he's not buying any of this guy's crap.
I saw where Bill Laimbeer was on ESPN, I think, yesterday, and he said LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time, not Michael Jordan. Yeah. So these guys are taking this to their graves, that competition, that doesn't dissipate. Maybe it gets put on a back burner, but it's always going to be there. And I can imagine Mike holds grudges. Mike invented grudges. He created grudges. And you go,
oh my God.
Right?
Yeah. He constantly they talk about that quite a bit, as you know. He had to find a reason to get fired up for games. So, if Jerry Krause at one point said he really liked Dan Marley, then the next time Marley guarded Jordan was going to hit 50 points against him. Any little perceived slight. And he actually says, the famous kind of, fist pumping, waving thing he did after hitting the shot against the Cavaliers. He said that was directly aimed at the Chicago beat writers, all of whom had predicted the Cavaliers would win the series. And he says again in this, you're right, this is a guy now in his 50s, and he goes, bleep you bleepers, you didn't believe in us. That was for you.
Jordan had a kind of preemptive quote here before this is released this weekend, saying, I come off as maybe not a good guy in this. I'm paraphrasing, basically saying, I pick on teammates. In fact, Steve Kerr's on with us next hour, and we know what happened with do they address the punch when he punched Steve Kerr in practice?
Yes, in great detail. And the fact that he would pick on, you might remember this, he famously would call Will Purdue Will Vanderbilt because he said he wasn't tough enough to be named after a Big Ten team. But he would, he was just, let's face it, the guy was pretty good. He was kind of the Don Rickles of practice. But as you know, Dan, the Bulls' practices were, famously intense. And he would pick on somebody like a Scotty Burrell, who came out of college as a top-rate player, but was a super nice guy. And Michael would just pick on him. And you see guys like Burrell and Judd Butler and a lot of kind of secondary players saying, no, he wasn't a good guy at all. He was not nice at all. But Jordan says, I never asked anybody else to do what I wouldn't do when it comes to working out, staying on the court, playing tougher. So he made everybody around him better.
We're talking to Richard Roper, the great movie critic, columnist, Chicago Sun-Times. Rodman, more interesting on the court or off the court, considering he was married to Carmen Electra, he dated Madonna, everything else that went along with Rodman.
Yeah, I remember being on the sidelines of a game one day, talking to a bunch of beat writers, and they're like, what is this nonsense? Is he really dating Madonna? I'm like, she's right behind you right now. She'd come to Chicago for the games. The antics, to me, one of the most fascinating things is at one point in their final run in the 97-98 season, Rodman said he just wasn't motivated. He needed a vacation. And Phil and Michael unilaterally decided, let him have 48 hours of Vegas. He went to Vegas on a vacation, and Carmen Electra is in this documentary as well. And she goes, I didn't know he had a game that weekend. I'm not a basketball fan. Can you imagine now in this day and age, a player and a coach saying, take 48 hours off? And Jerry Reinsdorf said, I didn't know about it either until I saw them in the news that he was in Vegas.
two stories that, and I have a lot of stories, some that I can't tell, but some that have to do with the Bulls. But one was Rodman had a birthday party at a place called the Crowbar. And I remember going in, and it was the second floor, and he had it all to himself. And he always thought I was Craig Sager. Forever, he'd say, "Hey, what's up, Sager?" And I go, "Hey, Dad." I just got to the point I answered for Craig Sager. If you went to the bar to get a beer, if the bar was full of kamikazes, so there's no place for anything else other than if you went to the bar, you had to do a shot, and then Dennis would do a shot, and he had a Chicago police uniform or shirt on, and I remember I left at 4 a.m. He had a game the next night, so Rodman was there when I left the Crowbar. I get to practice. They have a shoot around at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. I see Judd Bushler and Steve Kerr, and they go, "Here, you ran into Dennis last night." I go, "Is he here?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah. And he's down at the other end running around like a madman. And I think he had 18 rebounds that night in the game. And the other one was, I'm at a game against Seattle in the NBA Finals, and I'm covering Seattle's huddle for ESPN Radio. And I see the conversation that they were having with, like they were arguing in the huddle. Jordan was yelling and everybody was yelling, and Phil just was standing there. And Phil finally goes, and he said something like "shut up" or whatever, and then everybody stopped, and then he basically said "shut up" so Michael can tell you what we're going to do. And I was just like, oh my God. The other time Dennis was playing in a game, ball goes out of bounds, Prince is in the front row, and he goes over and he starts to talk to Prince, and Prince doesn't acknowledge him. And Prince's bodyguard says, "You have to talk to me," and then I tell Prince what you're saying. So Dennis is talking to his bodyguard, who then turns to Prince, because Dennis wants to know if Prince wants to go out after the game, I was told. Like, there are just so many things that happen with those. And when's the last time you remember a team that everybody loved, unless they were facing your team? These guys were true. Like Golden State, we turned against Golden State after a while. The Patriots, you turn against. All these teams, you just go, "Oh, I love them or hate them." The Bulls had a fascination that didn't turn other people off, which is amazing.
No, you're absolutely right. Remember when Jordan came back and went to Madison Square Garden, and there were signs on Broadway in New York welcoming Jordan back. And there's a great, segment in the documentary where the Bulls went to Paris, one summer, and the French media were going. I mean, it was insane. And Michael wears a beret. That's his way of acknowledging that he's in Paris. So it really was. And I know the younger folks are sort of like, "Oh, there's not a lot of great teams like the Patriots." But Dan, what you're saying is true. The universal love and respect. And Magic Johnson gives a beautiful quote in the documentary where he's like, "Losing to the Bulls was still an honor, to Michael Jordan and the Bulls. That was a different level. You didn't feel bad. You held your head up high if you lost to the Chicago Bulls at that time." And I still look back on the role that Jerry Krause played and like who was more responsible for the Bulls being great. And I don't know if it came down to Phil versus Jerry Krause or Michael versus Jerry Krause. But Jerry Krause, the GM, helped build the team, and he was going to disassemble it, take the wrecking ball to it. How did they address that? Why was it the last dance? Why didn't they stick around and try to make one more go of it? Yeah, that's a central theme of the documentary, and I do agree with you. I think, Jerry Krause, and Steve can talk about this, Steve Kerr, but he was his own worst enemy. But I think he is unfairly maligned for, a few comments, because when you look at what he did building those teams, people forget Pippen was actually drafted by Seattle, but the Bulls had orchestrated this trade for him. He found Horace Grant. He always found the perfect guys. Jordan and Pippen were the only two guys who were on all 6 of those teams. He always found a guy. Okay, we need a veteran. We're going to get Bill Cartwright. We lost Horace Grant to the Magic. We're going to bring in a rebounder in Dennis Rodman. We don't have Paxson anymore. We got Steve Kerr. He always figured out a way to put the perfect pieces in place. He's also the guy that recommended to Reinsdorf that they bring in this guy named Phil Jackson, who was in the outer edges of organized basketball, and they brought him in as an assistant, and then eventually, he became, the head coach. So, Krause, unfortunately, is not remembered well, and he said the wrong things, and he did. He wanted to dismantle that team probably a year early. To tell Phil Jackson before his final year, even if you go 82-0, you're not coming back, that's insanity.
Because it couldn't have been monetary reasons, could it? Because Mike was making about $30 million a year, but for so many years, Mike was the 4th, 5th, or 6th highest paid player on his own team. He made so much money from Nike, but I didn't understand. Was it ego to say, hey, I can do this with another team and another coach, or was it money?
It was definitely ego. It wasn't about money. It was definitely about ego, about why are these, it happens in our business sometimes too, where a program director doesn't understand why the host is getting all the attention when he built the radio station. And Jerry Jan's laughing. He doesn't know what I'm talking about there. That's never happened. But, I think, unfortunately, Jerry just, he didn't get any credit, he wanted that. And you're absolutely right, Dan. He wanted to, get rid of Phil Jackson, say goodbye to Michael, and start all over again with Tim Floyd. And, and rebuild the dynasty. And we all know how that didn't work out.
Great stuff, Richard. As always, thanks for joining us. We look forward to watching it.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Richard Roper. The Last Dance, 10-part ESPN docuseries on the 90s Bulls that premieres this Sunday. Richard also has a podcast called Feel Good Movie as they break down Richard's picks for best feel-good movies in genres from comedies to scary movies to sci-fi to classics. We'll take a break. Darren Ravel, sports business reporter, is going to join us. What's Darren going to talk about other than, are we still facing potential cease and desist from Tom Brady?
Yeah, and the NFL draft, the draftees.
Oh, that's right.
Under orders.
Okay. I'll just give you a little bit of a tease here why we're going to have Darren on. Now, we haven't heard from Tom Brady's camp, and maybe we don't. Maybe Tom and I can work this out like gentlemen, 10 paces and have a duel or something like that. But the other thing is these draft picks are going to be at their homes, and they're not allowed to have any commercial endorsement whatsoever unless they use NFL products. They're not even NFL employees yet. So we'll talk to Darren Ravel about that, and Steve Kerr will join us in the final hour. Back after this in the Dan Patrick Show. Now, I know you watched the show. You've mentioned that before a couple of times. We have
And you're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're doing a hell of a job. How many Emmys have you guys won?
I use them as sort of just like the show hadn't won any, but I have.
The show hasn't won any.
No, it hasn't. Believe it or not. Yeah. After playing flinch ball, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's astounding to me.
We've never been nominated.
You guys thought of flinch ball?
Yes.
And you haven't been nominated.
No, we have not. This might be the show.
This thing is rigged.
But see, I have Emmys just around here.
It might be due to your weak link.
Fritzy. Stat of the day. You familiar with that?
Of course, yes.
You got something to offer?
Stat of the day. Now, if you'll play that music for stat of the day.
Okay.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day!
Yes.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
I think you're losing viewers and listeners based on that.
We get
that song.
Great reaction with that. Great reaction. People love stat of the day.
See, I think you'd get better reaction with something like this.
Okay.
Stat of the day, stat of the day, dabba-doo-ba-doo, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day. Bop. More of a leisurely?
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It's kind of a loungy.
What does McLovin think?
I love it.
Yeah, right? A little more relaxed.
Oh, all that heavy metal always made me anxious.
You know what, Seton?
It's like a warm glass of eggnog pouring down your britches.
I'll tell you what, Ron. Would you sing Stat of the Day? And I'll bring.
But I can also sing it the regular way too.
What's the regular way?
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day! So,
holy smokes.
We might need a new spit guard on this,
I know.
this sucker.
I know. Yeah.
Let me rinse this. Let me just squeeze this out. Do we have a bucket?
Your hair didn't move.
No.
It did not move.
No, because there's 10 cans of hairspray.
Yeah. Okay. How about the jazzy version of Stat of the Day for me? Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Tell me when. Count me down.
3, 2, 1.
And do I go after you point or?
No, you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
3.
Take it again.
2.
Stat of the day. Stat of the day. Dap bap. Stat of the day. Stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day. Bop.
If either Peyton Manning or Russell Wilson does win the MVP, don't expect their respective teams to win the Super Bowl. Just 13 former MVPs have also won the Super Bowl in the same season. The last guy to do so, Kurt Warner with the Rams in 1999.
Stat of the day. Stat of the day. Stat of the day. Stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day.
Fritzy's scoreboard challenge. He puts numbers up there. 6 and 11 today. I don't think we've had a winner yet. So if you can guess it correctly, go to the website and make your contribution. And Mario is there to decide who is the first one to have the right answer for the number 6 and the number 11. I'm guessing those numbers might be attached to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr joining us in a half hour from now. Am I warm? Am I warm?
Not that warm.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. That's all I wanted to know. Darren Ravel, sports business reporter for the Action Network. Last time we had him on, he said, don't worry about a potential lawsuit from Tom Brady with our Tampa Bay T-shirts. And I haven't received a cease and desist yet, Darren. So we'll plow ahead. We don't have to worry about that. I saw your article on the draftees at the NFL draft can't have any sponsorship attached to their virtual draft selection. They've done this for years, though, haven't they? So why is the NFL cracking down here?
I think it's because it's all virtual and there's no one showing up to any draft location, Dan. I mean, we saw when Mariota and Winston stayed home and then probably got $50,000 each to to do Beats by Dre, have Beats by Dre headphones when the NFL deals with Bose. I think the NFL has been monitoring it over the years. There was that moment with Charles Harris when he had Sasquatch in the background of the, I think Rich Eisen confused him with, or maybe it's Trey Wingo confused him with Chewbacca, which he wasn't. He was the Jack Link's guy. So over the years, it's kind of been happening. Last year, ESPN said, hey, don't even think about putting a brand on the camera when the guy's coming in. We don't want to be taken advantage of. And this year, a 4-page memo from the NFL essentially saying what you can eat, drink, and wear.
Okay, so the fact that now they can face a fine, they're not an employee yet. How does
that's the problem. It doesn't specify any type of penalty because they're not employed by the league. They haven't signed a group licensing agreement with the Players Association. They don't have a contract with the league. Basically, what the league is saying is this is an NFL broadcast brought to you by our partners, ESPN, ABC, and the NFL Network. And if you want to be on it, you have to only use our sponsors and abide by all these rules. Now, I mean, I guess the question is, does the guy who's in charge of marketing for Tua, does he do his own stream? How valuable is it to be seen on the broadcast, and is it worth it to take deals from non-sponsors? Non-sponsors are going to pay you more, right? Because they don't have a deal with the NFL. This gets them in. So that's a question. Will, over the next week, anything happen where a guy's going to say, you know what, I'm going to do a live cam of mine and I'm just going to take all the money. And the NFL really can't do anything about it. And obviously someone's not going to be picked because of that. We don't like that he's going against us. So the NFL really doesn't have any recourse.
Yeah, if I'm one of these guys, a mid first round or late first round or second round pick, and I have a chance to get product placement there, I go for it. I'm not an employee, but what's the NFL going to do?
Yeah, people will say, well, if you're a second round pick, like, what's your marketability? Remember, there are guys who have plenty of marketability from their college days, where an entire college will watch their live stream. So it's not only the first couple guys. There are guys who come from a big college who can get a fair amount of audience by going alone. Listen, the NFL has the right to do this, I guess, if they go on the broadcast. But now, what about Uncle John? I mean, if he's 6 feet away and he's walking behind the couch at the right time with a Dr. Pepper, well, maybe you do deals with the family. There's a lot of in tennis. They always do deals with the Uncle Tony and the people in the box and the player. Hey, we didn't do a deal with Tua. We did a deal with his dad, and his dad happened to be walking behind just as the Dolphins were selecting the pick.
Good stuff, Darren. Stay in touch. Let us know if we're in trouble with Tom Brady.
I hope sales are going really well.
They are. They're brisk.
You deserve it.
It's pre-lawsuit, pre-cease and desist sale going on right now. That's Darren Rovell, sports business reporter for the Action Network. He was talking about tennis. I don't know why we couldn't have tennis resume if you don't have fans. By the way, fans are told to be quiet during a tennis match. Now, in between points, of course, you can make noise, but let's say you have social distancing. I got robotic cameras. I do have to have my head judge there, my umpire, but I won't even have ball boys. Go get your own tennis balls. But you could still do tennis. Golf, and now it feels like we're starting to turn the corner here, though. I think in the next couple of weeks, maybe the next week, you're gonna start to hear a little bit more. Hopefully planning, but I think it's going to be premature, but it's going to feel like we're getting closer to having some kind of sports come back. I get that feeling that we're just about on that edge. Steve Kerr will join us coming up. Final hour. We'll get to your phone calls as well, and we'll put the finishing touches of Tom Brady in his Tampa creamsicle uniform during the final hour. Coming up, Dan Patrick Show.
I love New Jersey. I really do. That's so good.
Do you guys play a lot of festivals?
Yeah, it's been cool. This year I think it's kind of like a festival summer. So, yeah, that's nice. But yeah, we kind of, I don't know, we'll do whatever. Honestly, like, we sort of like, mostly just happy to be here.
Yeah. What has the last couple of years been like for you guys? Because unless I could be mistaken, but it seems to happen pretty quickly. You guys. You have a lot of buzz around your band.
The crazy thing about putting out a record is you have basically control over that record until you release it. And then as soon as you release it, you don't have control over it anymore. And you can't really predict how it's going to be received or taken or treated. So we've been really lucky that people have responded to it and really enjoyed it, and that we've gotten all these opportunities.
Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
A big sports guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wearing an Olajuwon jersey.
Yeah. But Vince Carter is like he's my favorite player, I think, of all time. I really like Allen Iverson.
Amazing.
I've never seen anybody do the things that he can do.
Yeah, well, you know,
and he's getting up there too.
Yeah, well, if Vince, if you're listening to this, come home. You know, one of the things I think about Vince Carter that's really important is that he put basketball in Canada on the map.
Yeah.
Vince's impact on Canadian basketball.
Yeah.
I think people like him and Steve Nash, like two of like the most important. Yeah. But you're seeing that first wave of kids, myself included. I'm 29, so I'm around the same age as all those guys.
Yeah.
Incredibly less successful. But,
you're getting there.
Well,
you guys are on your way.
But like that is that first generation. You know, I was going to see Raptors games when Magic Johnson was still playing for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like we are that generation that was going to see basketball games when the Raptors first started. So now to like be coming up and to have Corey Joseph on the court, to see Tristan Thompson in the finals, to have Andrew Wiggins, like it feels like the impact that started with the Raptors and Vince now is like really coming to fruition.
Its status in the sports world is the stuff of legend. Its ground is considered sacred.
Come on, Kobe. You want some? Come get some. Oh!
They come from all walks of life.
Am I dreaming?
Many think they can conquer it.
Put yourself in that game. No call.
Oh, yes!
If they only knew.
I'm not getting the arc I like.
It can bring out the best and expose the worst.
In your head, Werner!
But it has only one master, and his show starts next.
Do I even bother telling you what it is?
No need to. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Nice.
Bringing you the best in sports talk, whether there's sports or not.
Yeah. All right. Here's my crazy idea. Crazy idea about the Miami Dolphins. You got the 5th pick overall. You know, you traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick, Laramie Tunsil, traded him away, you got all these draft picks. So you got 3 first-round draft picks here. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I wouldn't take a quarterback this year.
Oh, my God. You crazy?
Let's bring in Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
I don't know that anybody would want to trade up to 5 because I think the Chargers will just take either Herbert or Tua after that. So I don't know if they'd be able to trade down and get extra picks. Maybe.
Okay.
But I think your point remains, which is don't force it.
From the Mercedes Man Caves and Dan at Homes.
Keep believing during this time, guys. Keep the positivity going.
This is Dan Patrick.
Final hour on this Wednesday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Yours truly here in the Man Cave. Paulie is about 15 feet away from me with a huge piece of glass in between us. Fritzy's at home, Seaton's at home, so is McLovin, and wherever you're consuming our product, our content, we're happy to have you on board. 877-3DP Show, our Twitter handle at DP Show. If you're watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, you'll notice in the gymnasium there in the field house, our great street artist RC is putting the finishing touches on Tom Brady in the creamsicle uniform with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I had him up there in the Patriot uniform, and we decided that we were going to go all in on creamsicle, and RC is there finishing up the helmet for Tom Brady. Beautiful piece of artwork there. Beautiful. We say good morning to our radio affiliates, numbering 362 around the world, and, of course, part of the Fox Sports Radio lineup. The White House announced yesterday that they're forming a committee of commissioners and owners to help reopen sports in America. And it's an admirable goal. If it's consistent with public safety, I'm all in. But I'm not sure that this is exactly a golden era for sports commissioners. And maybe it's not their fault. In the social media era, people are looking for somebody to blame. Commissioners are convenient targets there. You go through them one by one. So you got Roger Goodell overseeing the most popular, profitable American sports league. He gets roundly booed every time you see him in public, right? Adam Silver's been great, but he's coming off that China PR disaster in the preseason. Baseball's Rob Manfred, the Astros cheating scandal, the Red Sox cheating scandal coming up. Hockey fans have had issues with Gary Bettman for decades. I always feel bad when he's bringing out the Stanley Cup. It's such a great moment for the team and the city when they win the Stanley Cup. And as soon as Gary Bettman shows up, everybody starts booing. At least there's some owners who will add a steadying influence to the committee. And you got Jerry Jones and Mark Cuban, brilliant in their own ways, but they've made as many controversial headlines as any owners have in history. I don't know if we get sports back on track anytime soon, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be fun to be a fly on the wall at these committees meetings just to find out what is the plan? What are the plans for each individual sport here? You're just waiting for the moment. Now, WWE is already back in Orlando. You're going to have UFC. Dana White is bound and determined to have a night of UFC if he has to go out and buy an island. But he's going to do it. And the WWE with Vince McMahon and Dana White have the blessings of the President of the United States. Rob Manfred with baseball, we're still not sure. Trying to create a plan. Can we do Arizona and Florida? Can we split it up where you have games there? You almost have this protective bubble of these teams playing in those two states. Maybe. NFL, you got the virtual draft, virtual OTAs. They have some time here. College football has a little bit of time here. Basketball does not have a lot of time here. At some point, you have to pull the cord and say, we're just not going to be able to play basketball. If you do come back, you're not going to have fans in the stands. With any of these sports, I don't think you'll have fans in the stands, which I'm okay with. I don't know how that jumpstarts the economy. Because I know the president wants to jumpstart the economy. We all want to. But just to bring, if I brought back, let's say golf, no fans, nobody in the gallery, am I jumpstarting the economy in that city? And the answer is no, because you can't go to the event itself. If I have a tennis match where it's just two players, I have the umpire, and no, I don't even have ball boys. You could do it, but are you jump-starting an economy? That's city. And the answer is no. Now, does it help us as a sports fan? Yes. And I'm surprised tennis hasn't been able to come back, because you do have social distancing when you're playing tennis. And golf, you could do it as well. But as far as baseball goes, football goes, basketball goes, that's where it gets really tricky. And all it takes is one person to test positive. That's it. And then you got to shut it down. Now, that's what happened with Rudy Gobert. Once it happened, it was shut down. That's my biggest concern is how quickly we're trying to get back. I don't want us to get back and then all of a sudden take two steps back. But just sort of the feeling I'm getting that these commissioners are on the verge of pulling the trigger to say, you know what, we're going to try something here. We're going to try to get back out there. Steve Kerr is going to join us on loan from the Golden State Warriors. He, of course, part of the documentary, the Chicago Bulls, The Last Dance. Not the Michael Jordan documentary, but you would think that's what it was about, all about Michael Jordan. It's about the Bulls of the 90s. In that last year, Phil Jackson's the one who christened it The Last Dance. And he did that year when they won the NBA championship. So we'll talk to Steve Kerr. He'll join us coming up in a little bit. A couple of things here as well. I saw this with Boomer Esiason. Boomer Esiason sees some LeBron James and Joe Burrow's possible homecoming to the Bengals. Boomer had a great career with the Bengals, won an MVP there. The Bengals in need of a jolt. They got the first pick, and they're sitting there ready to take an Ohio kid. Now, LeBron was from the Akron area. To go to the Cavaliers is different than Joe Burrow, who grew up in Athens, Ohio, which is a few hours away. That's where Ohio University is. Not exactly a homecoming here, but we're trying to paint it that way, and it's not. But Boomer Esiason had this to say.
The draft is funny because you don't have, not a lot of professions pick you to. Engineers don't get drafted to certain companies. So that's kind of peculiar in, the capitalistic ways of the United States. But that's how it is. And the teams that have the worst year pick at the top, and that's why they're there. Whatever team I go to, it's going to be a challenge to begin, and I'm going to have to, persevere through it, and just like I've done in the past.
So that's Joe Burrow on 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge. Boomer Esiason had this quote. He equates Joe Burrow to when LeBron James came out of high school his senior year, and the Cavaliers had the top pick. They had some good years under Larry Nance, but they were never thought of as the Bulls or the Lakers or the Celtics. They were the Cleveland Cavaliers, for God's sake. He grew up in the shadow of Cleveland and brought them the championship. Now it's Joe Burrow's time. This is his time. He's got to go home and get it straight, and he's the reason they get it straight. That's the way it should be written, and that's the way he should be looking at it. All right, the Bengals have been to 2 Super Bowls, okay? Boomer Esiason was a quarterback. Kenny Anderson was a quarterback. They lost to Joe Montana and the Niners. The Bengals, as bad as they've been, inconsistent, they were nowhere near the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavaliers didn't do much. A history of ineptitude there. And I go back to Bingo Smith. Yeah, I go back. I remember watching them play in person. They weren't any good. And then they tanked that year so they could, they weren't good, but they tanked to make sure they were going to get LeBron. And then you had, John Lucas, I think, was the head coach back then. But the Cavs got LeBron. That's different. LeBron grew up in the shadows of Cleveland. Joe Burrow didn't grow up in the shadows of Cincinnati. LeBron, one player on a basketball team can make a larger difference than one player on a football team. Joe Burrow could be absolutely brilliant, but that doesn't mean they're winning football games or winning a lot of games. LeBron could be great. Paulie, go back and look at the first year LeBron took a team to the NBA Finals. He took pedestrians. Big Zeke was on that team. He didn't have a good team at all. And that team went to the NBA Finals. And they had no business being in the NBA Finals when you think about it. But that was the impact LeBron had. Because one player amongst 5 on the floor for your team can make a big difference. Yeah, Paul.
Dan, are you besmirching Larry Hughes, Drew Gooden, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Anderson Varejao, Damon Jones, Sasha Pavlovic, Eric Snow? Those are the luminaries.
Yes, I am. LeBron took some bad teams to the NBA Finals early in his career in Cleveland. You know, is Joe Burrow going to be a hero? Maybe. But he's not, a conquering hero returning home. For a lot of people, they don't realize the size of Ohio. They go, oh, he's from Ohio. Where's Athens? It's not close to Cincinnati. But if he can do it and he's going to go there, he's not doing anything overnight. How long did it take LeBron to get to the playoffs? He probably got there pretty soon.
I think his second year.
Yeah, so he got there pretty soon. He's not LeBron. And don't put that pressure on him. He's not LeBron James. And even the impact of LeBron, it'll be difficult to do that. It was difficult for LeBron to finally win that championship. He had to leave and come back. They also had to get Kyrie Irving as well. But Joe Burrow, good for him. If you go to Cincinnati and you got a chance to make a difference, good for you. But I don't equate this to LeBron James growing up in the Cleveland area and going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And if you said Joe Burrow went to Moeller High School or St. X or Elder, and then he was going to be the starting quarterback, a lifelong Bengal fan or what, okay, that's fine. But he bounced around a little bit, and he ended up, at Ohio University, where his dad was a coach, and then he went to Ohio State. Hopefully this is going to be over in 8 days. I don't have to worry about Tua, at least where he's going. I don't have to worry if Joe Burrow is going to pull an Eli Manning. And we'll find out if the Patriots take a court. Like there's, at some point after a while, you just go, there's a reason why I'm watching Building Off the Grid Alaska, just because my head's going to explode.
Great episode last night.
Yes, it was.
I didn't think they were going to get it done.
They never.
Right before the last commercial break, they had a big problem, and I thought it was all going to go to crap.
Well, snow was coming in.
Yeah, and then
they're always surprised that snow's coming in Alaska.
November.
Yes, Eaton.
Do you guys, have any of you guys watched Better Call Saul?
Sure.
I have not watched an episode.
I keep seeing a lot of people who are like, it's not better than Breaking Bad, but it's just as good.
I've heard nothing but great reviews out of it. It's just I have this impression of his role in Breaking Bad, and I have a hard time kind of moving away from that and seeing him. This is the prequel, I guess, to Breaking Bad. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, it's Bob Odenkirk, and it's a lot different than Breaking Bad because it's more snarky. There's darkness and there's violence and there's intrigue, but there's also some snarky, almost dark comedy because it's Odenkirk.
I've heard, I don't know how many seasons we're in. By the way, Bosch comes out Friday. I've been watching Sunderland Till I Die. It's 2 seasons worth. It's really well done. I learned a lot more about soccer and behind the scenes. And this is used to be in the Premier League and then got knocked down to the Champions League?
Yeah, which is like going to AAA.
Well, it'd be like the NFL and then college.
Yeah.
And then college, you're going down to high school they got relegated again.
It'd be like going from the SEC to the Sun Belt.
Oh.
That's how I describe it.
But just to see what goes on behind the scenes is really well done. It's on Netflix. It's Sunderland. They say, I got criticized. They said, hey, you're saying Sunderland. That's how they pronounce it.
Yeah, the R is casual.
Sunderland. And I was just pronouncing it because I've been listening to these guys.
Sunderland.
Sunderland, till I die. And they follow families around. And just how important this football team is to them is just incredible. And the economy around them. They got an owner who looks like a heavier Boy George. They got another guy who is a combination. He's their business manager. Looks like Robert Downey Jr. met Greg Louganis. It's fascinating just to see what goes on. All right, Paulie's got a piping hot poll question for the final hour. Oh, wait, McLovin does?
Well, we have competing poll questions. You can choose which one you like.
Okay, all right.
Mine was, would you rather have Steve Kerr's career as a player? He won 5 titles, 2 with the Spurs, 3 with the Bulls, or as a coach, 3 titles with the Warriors. Now, keep in mind, as a player, he only averaged 6 points a game.
but he played on one of the great teams of all time. He played on two of the great teams of all time, Spurs and the Bulls. A role player. Well, he's going into the Hall of Fame because he's a great coach. That's why he's going into the Hall of Fame. He won a lot of titles and he hit one big shot, one really big shot. But I'd still want to play. Coaching is great, but you got to play. Yeah, McLovin.
Well, that's you. You want Steve Kerr's career to sit outside and shoot jumpers.
Oh, yeah.
That's not fair. You're totally biased.
I'd even get beat up by Jordan in practice. I'd take that. I'd take a punch from Jordan. Yeah, McLovin.
Paulie's option is, would you rather have Steve Kerr's total career, including coaching, or Vince Carter's career?
You could be Vince Carter. You're known for being a great dunker, having a 20-year career. You're a really popular player. You're very cool.
How about this? I'm going to ratchet it up just a little bit.
All right.
You can be Steve Kerr, player coach, or Allen Iverson.
I was going to throw that out there. I thought it was too extreme.
But I'm going to, because I'm leaning towards Steve Kerr.
A lot of rings.
I mean, they're both Hall of Famers, but he's as decorated as anybody in modern era. Yeah, McLovin.
Hot take. I take Vince Carter over Allen Iverson. He's the most spectacular player in NBA history. And Iverson there's like a little problem. Wait. He's Dr. J, the modern Dr. J.
Wait. Vince Carter is the most spectacular player in NBA history?
He's very close. Yes, he's unbelievable. He jumped over Frederick Weiss.
That was in the Olympics.
Stick with it, Andrew. I back you up.
Seton and I are Team Vince Carter.
I know.
We prop each other up.
I know that.
All day.
I know that.
But Iverson has some flaws, though. And maybe it's his late career when he joined the Knicks and he sort of fizzled out. That's my problem with Iverson.
If and nobody's going to do this poll question today. You could have Steve Kerr's career, Vince Carter's career, Allen Iverson's career. I'm taking Steve Kerr.
Is Steve Kerr taking Steve Kerr?
I'm going to ask him that. That's the first question I ask him. Steve, would you rather have your career, player, coach, Vince Carter's career, or Allen Iverson? Yeah, McLovin.
If we hear this poll on another show, we are going to know for sure they stole it.
If Colin Cowherd starts the show coming up in a little less than an hour, and I'll know that Colin...
Whose career do you want?
I was just thinking about this.
Phil Jackson or Dominique Wilkins? What?
By the way, Dak clarified his party. That the setting looks like it's an intimate party. I think they had a party. Have you ever gone to a dinner party and then you're not on the short list to go to the dinner party, but you get to go to the party after the party? I think that's maybe what Dak had. Hey, we're gonna have a dinner, and we gotta have less than 10 people. And I see the place settings, but then I look at the buffet. That's not for 8 people. That looks like it's for about 28 people. And maybe Zeke Elliott's probably eating for 2, but man, there's a lot of food there. Really, there was a lot of food there. That's what I think is the telltale sign that there's a party going on around here. But you got to take their phones. All right. Is there another poll question, or was that the one?
That's it.
No.
Oh, what else do you got, McLovin?
No. We have to do Vince Carter versus Allen Iverson versus Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I will.
Perfect.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that. And we'll talk to Steve Kerr about the Bulls documentary. And I guess they go into great detail, that practice where Mike hit Steve Kerr. You know what Phil would do to get Michael competitive, as if you needed to, but sometimes he'd jumpstart him? He'd put Michael on the second team against the first team. And so Mike would have the reserves, and he'd go against the rest of the first team. Like he was just trying to keep him competitive. But we'll talk to Steve Kerr about that. We'll get to phone calls as well. Final hour of this program, 877-3DP-SHOW. Twitter handle at DP Show. Still don't have a winner for Todd's scoreboard challenge. The numbers are 6 and 11. Don't have a winner, according
There
to
were some good guesses, though.
Mario. How about we give a hint here when we come back?
We could.
Yeah, little hint. Now, you're not good at hints. You tend
to... I can do an okay hint for this.
Okay.
I'll keep it very generic. I won't give it away.
Okay. All right, we'll take a break. Steve Kerr joins us next on the Dan Patrick Show. 20 after the hour, and Discover is helping you. Discover asks you to check your email, your Instagram. You do all those things, right? But Discover is saying, well, if you do that, then why don't you check something as important as your FICO credit score? It's free, even if you're not a customer. And that score is used by 90% of top lenders, even if you're not a customer. Checking out your score won't hurt your credit, and you can check each month for changes. The Discover Credit Scorecard, free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard, and limitations do apply. Thanks for coming in.
Hey,
thanks for going out of your way.
Fellas, this was worth it. That pie face in the face thing
to
right
smash
there.
McLovin?
I need me some shots of that for my social media. That was worth it all. Man, I would do anything. I wish I could. D, can I do that to you one day? When do you ever get a pie in the face? Does Dan ever get a pie in the face?
I have. I had one in Houston, and in our Celebrity Bracket Challenge for March Madness, the worst bracket gets a pie in the face.
So I didn't ask you that. I said, have you ever gotten that pie in the face? Not just in Houston, right here at home. You got it right in this room, right in this place.
If you take the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl, if they win the Super Bowl, you can hit me in the face with a pie.
Dan, you skirted it again. I asked you.
I've not had a pie in the face
This
here.
is how the lawyers taught me to keep coming back to the question.
But wait, this is my huddle. I'm Troy Aikman right now.
And that's the reason right there. I knew you never got the pie in the face because this whole building is your huddle. And as everybody else gets the pie in the face, and Dan, since it's my huddle, I don't get the pie in the face. I understand that.
You want me to give you a pie in the face right here?
No. I wouldn't mind giving a pie in your face, though, Dan. That would be so fun.
How about I give you one, you give me one? How about that? A little quid.
Do you know? See.
Do you want to do that right now?
I would look like, dark as I am with white power all over my face.
We're not going down that road again. Mike, I got a chocolate cream pie back there for you. If you'll take a pie, I'll take a pie.
We both do it, right?
Yeah. I'll have them make it up here in the next 15 minutes. Unless you're afraid, Mike, you just called me out. I'm sorry, did I stutter?
Why do I have to come to take a pie in the face? You should have. All your dudes out here have taken a pie. You should have already taken a pie.
Did somebody just tap out? I think Playmaker just passed.
Listen, I'm all in.
Mike just tapped out.
How can we decide who gets the pie?
No. It's just I'll give you one, you give me one, Mike.
I've never had a pie in the face, D. I've never had a pie in the face.
I have.
I got other interviews to go do. Who do I look like with pies in my face? That might be fun though. It might be fun.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's. I got another shirt to call. Pull up my other shirt so I can use this one later, and let's do it. Let's do it.
You do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We need to have two pies made up back there.
Let's do it.
If we can. All right.
Let's do it.
We'll come back.
Pie in the face.
We'll come back.
Let's do it.
Dan Patrick Show.
This is too far, Michael.
Michael Irvin said that I wouldn't take a pie to the face, and I said I'd be more than happy to. Would he be willing to take a pie to the face? So here we are with cream pies, chocolate cream pie for you, Mike. So this is what it comes down to. It's you. It's me. You ready? 3, set, go.
I just got nailed. That was an explosion.
Y'all gonna feature it.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know if you got me. I don't know if you got me, Mike. I don't know if you got me.
That was a tie. I think that's a tie. Yeah. I got some shrapnel.
There's some weight behind it, too, now.
You got me on the nose, man. Mike popped me on the nose.
He got your bit, yeah.
That was all right, man. That's the first time I've ever gotten a pie in the face.
You look good.
I look like who I look like right now.
I'm not making any comment. I'm not making any comment.
Take a break.
Well, you know what? It's probably best we take a break here. And we'll come back to close up shop here in the Dan Patrick Show right after this. Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. It's the all-new GG 4-door coupe. Life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you miss any of our celebrity interviews from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the Dan Patrick Show app. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. This just in, Jake in Buffalo is today's winner of Fritzy's scoreboard, number 6 and 11. Give me the hint that you were going to give out, Todd.
The hint is 6/11 is a date. It's not jersey numbers or a year or anything like that. It is a date on the calendar for this year.
All right. So June 11th?
June 11th.
All right. Yes, Paulie.
Isn't there the first golf event of the year for the PGA?
The PGA Tour will announce this week that the Colonial in Fort Worth, Texas is set for June 11th through the 14th. Will go on as scheduled without fans. That is correct.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you, Todd.
Welcome.
We'll send out some DP show gear to Jake in Buffalo. Ted in Florida joins us. Hi, Ted. What do you have for me?
Hey, Dan. Long time, long time, many times. Just a good note here for you. As you know, Tom Brady bought Derek Jeter's house.
No, he's renting it. He's renting it.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big house. It's a compound. He actually bought 4 houses, Jeter did, to put this thing together. But anyway, his next door neighbor is Brad Culpepper. Culpepper was All-American for Florida Gators, played for the Bucks, played for a lot of people. But for the last 20 years, he's been Tampa's most successful attorney.
All right. Well, thank you, Ted.
Great.
Just in case Brady needs some legal representation, I think, or if we need legal representation, I think, is maybe what Ted was pointing out. Yes, Paulie.
Do you think it'd be weird? I mean, obviously it's a redundant question. Living next to someone who's ultra famous when you're rich but not famous.
I don't know how my neighbors feel.
Well, but I bet that's got to be something for them. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like Chris Rock talked about that. Like his neighbor is a dentist. He goes, I'm Chris Rock and my neighbor's like a dentist, but a really wealthy dentist.
Yeah.
It's got to be weird.
By the way, Vince Carter played in 1,541 career regular season games, most by any player without winning a title. Maybe it's too soon to bring that up, but we were going to ask Steve Kerr the question, would you rather be Vince Carter, Allen Iverson, or Steve Kerr? And Coach will join us coming up here in a moment. So we're going to go with that poll question, the final 45 minutes here. Is that right, McLevin?
Yeah, and the early result is a bit surprising. Steve Kerr is running away with it.
I would rather be Steve Kerr and have his career as a player and coach than Vince Carter and Allen Iverson's careers as a player. Let's ask Steve Kerr. Steve, would you rather be you or have the career of Vince Carter and Allen Iverson, or Allen Iverson?
Are you being serious?
Yeah. We were just wondering that, career.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be Vince Carter or Allen Iverson. Do you know how hard it was to be me out there on the floor trying to swim upstream every night playing against these guys? It would have been way more fun to be those guys.
Yeah, but you won titles, and then you've coached and won titles.
Well, I didn't know you were throwing the coaching part in.
Oh, yeah. You're the coach. Yeah, the whole package. You get to be. So, would you rather be you, player and coach, or Vince or Allen Iverson?
Oh, I'm very happy with
Okay, good. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
But I do think that some people, when they start saying, like somebody asked me about Nash one time, would I rather have had Nash's career?
Wait a minute, Steve. Can you find a little better cell area? You're cutting out a little bit. Maybe stroll outside or something. Yeah, put him on hold. We got.
Would you rather have Vince Carter's cell phone or Steve Kerr's cell phone?
Steve Nash always had a bad cell phone, but I think it was Julie Fight. She
yeah.
I think
her.
Julie was their PR person, and Julie would always hand him the phone when he was done with practice or something, and it was always spotty.
As bad as Kenny Rosenthal's? Kenny Rosenthal, notorious bad cell phone guy.
Oh, yeah. Let me try. Steve, are you back?
Yeah.
Let me see. Where are you? Yeah, you're a little spotty.
No, we're down in San Diego.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. Came down here when the league suspended, and so I've been down here with the family ever since.
Well, you're in Del Mar, aren't you?
Right nearby.
Yeah,
Yep.
you want to be in Del Mar. If Del Mar's a pretty good. Do you have a basketball court there?
I do. I will not be taking part in the horse company.
When's the last time? Do you shoot hoops at practice?
I shoot free throws. Sometimes I'll shoot against Steph, just to have a little fun competition. And I can barely move anymore, though. I can't shoot jumpers anymore. My thing hurts, so I just shoot free throws.
But you guys do something different. That if you touch the rim, that's a miss, isn't it?
It's. I think what we do is, if you make it, but you touch the rim, it's 1. But if you swish, it's 2. And if you miss, it's -1. That's what we play.
Does Clay get involved in this, or is it just you and Steph?
No, I've only played with Steph, and he just, whenever he needs to, he just swishes. So it's just incredible. It really is. I rarely miss. I mean, when you shooting a free throw is that stays with you for sure. So I rarely miss, but he can swish when he needs to. I can't really do that well.
But you still have the best 3-point percentage of all time. Does that ever does that come up in conversation with, when they say, "Oh, Steph's the greatest shooter of all time," then you go, "But who has a higher 3-point percentage?"
I try not to go down that path. The degree of difficulty on the shot stand was quite different. So I think I don't think I can win that argument.
We're talking to Steve Kerr, the Golden State head coach, joining us on the program. Did you think that Steph had the coronavirus?
No. We were worried that he did. He was sick right when he came back, and then he missed 2 games. And he had the regular flu. So we were concerned about him, but he did not.
Yeah, I saw the headline. It said in March, you said that you were concerned that Steph's cold was the coronavirus, but found out that it was just the flu. Anybody else with your team? Have they come down with the coronavirus, or what they thought?
No. So far, nobody on our team. And our San Francisco has not been hit too hard. I mean, I think our mayor was really on it. The governor did a good job with the social distancing. The whole state was really pretty quick to get to all these safety measures, and so most of the state has been relatively quiet given the number of people here.
Have you been able to see the documentary? Did they give you an advanced screening of the Bulls documentary, The Last Dance?
They gave me a link and I haven't watched it. It's like I'm not quite sure why. I just almost want to pretend it's going to be live on Sunday night, and I'm craving something live. I'll wait till Sunday.
You had to retell the practice story where you got punched?
Gosh, I don't think so.
Wait, it's not in the documentary?
I don't know. Maybe it is. Like I said, I haven't.
Yeah, I heard it was. Well, I don't want to ruin the surprise for you. But
great.
I think you get punched again, Steve.
Did I win the fight this time?
No, you did not.
No.
Did you get knocked down with that punch?
No. It was like a scrum. It was like a rugby scrum. It was, those basketball brawls are never.
Thank God. And yeah. Well, I think Mike talks about that he wasn't a great teammate, but he did things to motivate players, where he picked on Scotty Burrell. I guess he was really rough on Scotty Burrell in practice.
Yeah, he was.
Was he rough on you?
He was. He was. I think he was. He tested me. I think he tested everybody, and I think that what you have to do is you have to stand up to him, and not necessarily physically, which I think basically he talked trash to me and I talked trash back, which wasn't highly advised at the time, but it was. I knew I had to stand up for myself, and I think that. Looking back, and even at the time, I could see what he was doing. Michael wanted to make sure everybody who was out there could deal with the pressure of a playoff game. And if you couldn't deal with his trash talk during practice, then he didn't think you were going to stand up to the pressure during a playoff game. And it made sense. I mean, he brought the level of practice up to such a high level that it made us better as a team. And those are the days when we actually scrimmaged every day. And, we've gotten smarter these days. We don't practice as often, which saves the players' bodies more. But back then we had more competition, which may have honed our edge a little bit more too. So that was more the case back then. And Michael took advantage of that for sure. And it paid off, I think, for our team.
I know as a player and a coach, you can get used to winning, but as a player coach, can you get used to losing?
I think it's different as a player and a coach. And so for me this year, we had the worst record in the league, 15-50, when play stopped. The whole point of our team and our coaching staff was to try to maintain the energy and the drive and the work and keep a positive energy in the building. Otherwise, you're walking in there just dreading it every day. So we wanted our young players to feel good about every day, even though we were losing, and still enjoy it, enjoy the process, and enjoy the work. So as a coach, you have to keep a much more positive spirit and a positive aura about you in a season like that, and because it's much more your responsibility to maintain the tone, and that's what I tried to do this year.
I love the name of the podcast with you and Pete Carroll, Flying Coach. So Steve, so it's a podcast with Pete Carroll, and it premiered on Monday. So you talk about coaching and mentors and first jobs, and how did this come up that you two have you guys been friends for a long time?
We've been friends for about 6 years. I got connected by a mutual friend and an agent. Mike Tannenbaum was my coaching agent 6 years ago when I decided to coach, and he was the GM of the Jets.
Yeah,
you might remember him from Hard Knocks, and so he became my agent through the agency that's represented me for my whole career, Priority Sports. And he took over the coaching division. He was perfect for the job because he knew so many coaches, and so he took me around and introduced me to a bunch of NFL coaches, and he asked me who I wanted to meet, and I told him I wanted to meet Pete Carroll because of Pete's teams and the way they played, and I had always admired just their style. And so I went to Seattle's camp. Had never met Pete before, and he was so gracious, and I spent 3-4 days up there, and he was really, really generous with his advice, and so we became friendly, and we've stayed in touch ever since. Our team has visited his team. We were in Seattle a couple of years ago for an exhibition game. Our whole team went to the Seahawks facility and went through their practice with him. It was amazing. So when this started, the suspension of sports, we decided to get together and do something to try to raise money for COVID relief and food banks, and this was the idea we came up with. So we're having fun with it. We had one last week. We're doing another one this week, and we're going to try to keep it going, for as long as we can while this suspension is happening.
Do you need any tips? I know you were a professional broadcaster, but
I actually could use some tips. So do you have any thoughts?
Okay, if you're going to have people on and you're going to interview them.
Yes.
Questions, make them short, make them open-ended, get them talking. You want them telling stories. You're not the star with your question. You'll be the star with their answer.
What if I want to be the star, Dan?
Oh, okay. Then listen to how I do it on this show, because I screw it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, and I will ruin radio for you for the rest of your life if you start to get into asking questions, and then you're going to listen to other people ask questions and go, oh my God, that's not open ended. You're projecting. Like, what are you doing? There's nothing wrong with this question, Steve. Why? How? Where? Who? Can't go wrong.
Got it.
Can't go wrong.
I wrote that down.
Yes.
All right. Perfect.
All right. Good luck with that. It's called Flying Coach. Is there more information with this, with what you and Pete Carroll are doing? You're raising money for COVID-19 here, so.
Yeah, so we're doing it through The Ringer and Spotify.
Okay.
Spotify donated $100,000 each to the Warriors Foundation and the Seahawks Foundation. So if you live in the Bay Area or Seattle and you want to make a donation, you can do it through those foundations, and everything's going to go to COVID relief. And then as we get going, we're going to sort of figure this out. We'll see. We'll see how much money it makes, how many people are listening, if we're going to get some ad revenue. But we're going to sort of figure it out on the fly. But we want to do something really fun and we entertain people while they're at home and hopefully raise some money along the way. So we'll see. We'll try to get it rolling.
Would you rather be Michael Jordan or Phil Jackson?
I think Michael. I think it'd be hard not to want to be Michael Jordan, just because what he felt every night on the floor during his career, and that's what I was talking about earlier when you asked me would I rather be Iverson or Vince Carter. I mean, to be so dominant, to dominate a game like that, must be so much fun. And I never felt that, and Phil Jackson never felt that. But there is a joy to coaching and an incredible experience in that itself. So, but Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. So I think I'd rather be Michael Jordan.
Steph Curry or Scottie Pippen?
We're stretching things. I wouldn't mind being either one of them.
The correct answer is Steph Curry. He's your player. Scottie will get over it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he's doing all right. Hey, it's great to talk to you. And once again, it's Flying Coach. Love the name, with Steve Kerr and Pete Carroll. You can get it on Spotify and The Ringer. Steve, good to talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Dan. Take care.
All right. We'll take a break. Back after this. We'll wrap it up. Dan Patrick Show.
Brian, you came up with the name Modern Washouts. What can you tell me about that?
Well, I looked up a glossary of bowling terms, and there were so many great ones, but I didn't think being called the Christmas tree or the Greek church or dime store was as interesting as Modern Washout, and then I added the S. So we are the Modern Washouts, which, by the way, is a spare where the leave is like 3 pins right at the bottom of the triangle and then 2 up here, so it's really hard to pick up.
So there's 5 pins left.
5 pins left.
Modern Washout.
Right. If we had been Washout, it would have been 4 pins, and there are 4 of us. Now that I think about it.
You're being a stickler.
Yeah, whatever. The name's cool. It looks great on a shirt.
All right, well, go team. Yeah. Modern Washouts. I think this is our year. 1, 2, 3. Modern Washouts! Well, we're trying to break 500, I feel like, so there's some pressure on me right now. I'm sort of the anchor of the squad, going last. So this this one individual game really rides all on these throws. History of punk rock bowling. It's interesting that it's a sort of a much smaller event that has grown into. I mean, you've got 3 locations now.
Yeah, well, the whole idea for it was that Andre here was working at BYO Records, our label. He heard that Fat Records up in San Francisco was doing a league, a weekly league, and he said we should do that. We didn't know that he's a 220 average bowler. Yeah. So we said, yeah, sure, why not? So after we did that, my brother Mark and I said, this is really cool. We should do something with this, and we immediately thought, let's throw a party in Vegas, because bowling and drinking are synonymous, because you don't have to be great to bowl, and you can be drunk and bowl. And so, and go to Vegas, any excuse for us to go to Vegas, so we thought, why the hell not?
We've been talking a lot about the role that music has played in the revitalization, say, of Asbury Park and its growth as a community. The music scene plays a huge role there.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because Asbury, I see it sort of certain parallels with Vegas because we moved to downtown Vegas about 6 years ago. Before that, it was just a party that we would throw at this place, Sam's Town, and then we expanded it to a few other bowling alleys as more and more people wanted to bowl. When it morphed into this music festival, we moved to downtown, and downtown has undergone this transformation where there's about a half a dozen clubs down there now that didn't used to be. Just like what's going on here. It was kind of a war zone here. It's unbelievable the transformations happen here.
What do you see the future now of the festival? Where do you want to see it go from here?
The necessity was that by just doing one event, there's a lot of bands like, wow, we can't come all the way out there unless we have a lot of money because we got to fly, we got a crew. So, well, if we have a few other shows, it gives you the opportunity to maybe make a tour around it, make it more feasible, because we're not this big festival with 3 or, because most festivals these days are 4, 5, 6 stages. There are 4 or 5 festivals within a festival. And we're just one. We're just punk rock. We're just gonna do punk rock on one stage. We like to keep it intimate. For me, the whole experience of seeing a live band is to see the band live and feel that energy that you can't get on a video or on a recording.
You're still able to keep it pretty intimate for a big outdoor stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. Can't complain. I think it'll go on for a little while longer. Who knows how much longer? I don't know.
Well, I hope many, many more years.
Resident street artist, RC, who did all the beautiful stuff here in the Man Cave. And I got around to thinking maybe it's time we put Tom in the creamsicle uniform with the Buccaneers. And I said to RC, can you do it? He goes, yeah, I could probably do it in a day. I go, no, you need to do it in 2 days. So just so people out there who may do this for a living going, why is it taking him 2 days? I asked him to take his time with this. So the biggest challenge with Tom was what?
Just working around his face, just making sure that I wasn't gonna, mess anything up, paint over anything, keep it all clean cut up there. The jersey was pretty quick. That's just all fat caps, just really flowing, just blending. It worked out well.
And once again, this isn't creamsicle, it's...
Well, it's cream orange.
Cream orange.
We'll name it creamsicle just
Crorange.
for... Yeah, exactly.
Crorange.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought that maybe the helmet, the logo was going to be tough for you, but that...
Yeah, it's tricky, because you can only get so fine of a line with spray paint, so, but...
Well, thanks again.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You did great.
It changed the scenery.
And if he... I was looking at the final touches there by RC, our street artist, who came in and painted over the Tom Brady Patriot uniform. and has him in the Tampa Bay creamsicle uniform. Did you see where there are a lot of Patriot fans who have bought the Tom Brady Tampa Bay jersey? And at first I was thinking, all right, yeah, I get it. You know, he's in the NFC, and why not? I mean, if you love Brady, then it's I don't know if Patriot fans blame him for not being in New England. It feels like if you're blaming somebody, it might be your organization, even though I think the organization is doing the right thing to move on. But I just don't like the plan B at Jarrett Stidham. Yeah, Paulie.
Do you think it's because with Patriots fans, the player is almost always more beloved than the coach or GM or owner? Those are the guys with the money and the control. The player is who the fans root for. And I think the educated New England fan knows, you know, Brady probably could have still been there if they would have treated him differently 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Brady's jersey is the top seller in New England. But that's his Tampa Bay jersey. Although, what would change if the Patriots drafted Jordan Love? You know, would that or Jalen Hurts around? Nah, probably not. It'd be Tom Brady. All right, this day in sports history, what do you have for me, Paul?
1947, Jackie Robinson played his first Major League Baseball game for the Brooklyn Dodgers. He had appeared in exhibition games before that. The San Francisco Giants and the LA Dodgers played the first Major League Baseball game on the West Coast. It was the first game in the LA Coliseum. And let's see. Cal Ripken Jr. became the 24th Major League player to reach 3,000 hits in 2000.
And you go back to Jackie Robinson on this day. That's why they celebrate Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball, where everybody wears the number 42 on this day, but then nobody can wear it after this. I think Mo Rivera was the last who was grandfathered in, but this would have been the day that Major League Baseball would have celebrated Jackie Robinson Day. And by the way, I think Jackie Robinson is the greatest athlete of all time. And I know it's tough to put labels on somebody, but you think of impact and the fact that he was either a very good college level or professional level in baseball, football, basketball, track and field. All of those. And considering what he did with the color barrier and what he went through to break the color barrier and baseball and become a Hall of Famer, I think he's the greatest athlete of all time. Let me go around the room. Final results of the poll question there, McLevin.
Who would you rather be, Steve Kerr, Allen Iverson, or Vince Carter? 80% Steve Kerr.
Yes, Steve Kerr's the right answer. I know, and I get what Steve's saying. You want that moment of, I'm dominating. I'm taking over a game. I get that. But after like the 10th time or 15th time you've done it, okay. But he's going into the Hall of Fame because he was a very good college player. He won titles as a role player, and then he's won 3 titles as a head coach. So Steve Kerr's the answer. Of course he is. Fritzy, what did you learn on today's program?
I learned that you found the Eli Manning Super Bowl MVP announcement card you read on the podium while cleaning out the attic and were trying to get it to Eli.
Well, I want to give it to the people who are auctioning off his Corvette that he won that night when I handed out the Super Bowl trophy and the keys to that Corvette. But I'm giving you the actual card that I got on the podium that night, and his name is written in there with a Sharpie. And I don't think I wrote it in. I think somebody wrote it in from the NFL and then handed it to me. McLevin, what did you learn on today's award-winning program?
We learned why Dak Prescott had a buffet at his controversial dinner because of one of the guests.
Wow.
I don't know if that's the case.
Wow.
I don't know if it's
so mean.
That's actually what I said. Seton O'Connor, what did you learn on today's program?
I learned Steve Kerr said swimming upstream every night wasn't very easy.
With his playing ability?
His playing ability also in the NBA. Yeah. Swimming upstream.
Upstream. Call him Salmon. Paulie, what'd you learn?
Andy Dalton's got 2 new receivers, and they're 3.5 feet tall.
It's two boys. Todd, what did I learn on today's program?
Looks like the Browns may be going very old school with their new jerseys, the Brian Sipe, Mike Pruitt cardiac kids days.
No, Greg Pruitt.
Greg Pruitt. Well, you had a brother Mike, too.
No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for allowing us to be part of your lives. And we'll be back tomorrow. Dan Patrick Show.